What's up, Steve?
Same old man.
I hear that,
Same
man.
old.
I want to thank everyone for joining us again here on the Outdoor Drive podcast. I know that things have been a little hectic for all of us. I have just touched land. Steven has been hunting his ass off. So we're a little bit behind a couple of days. Let's talk about that for 1 second, just so everybody knows. Um, we kind of, now that we're slowly, gradually building into this big, huge, giant, no, just kidding. Now that we're kind of like moving and spreading our wings a little bit and getting on the YouTube page and everything, it's a lot of work for Steven. We put a lot on his shoulders. So
I make Trev do a lot of content so that I can sit and spend hours developing video.
So he's always working on doing all of this stuff. So it kind of puts a little bit behind. We had started off as Mondays because Mondays was the podcast day. We would record and then we would drop, right? And the thing with that is that now we have YouTube. So then it kind of got pushed out. So we decided on Tuesdays because Tuesdays was my day off from work. So that kind of pushed things off again. Well, then we ended up adding the YouTube to it. So now you got to edit it and upload it and everything else. So now we're kind of like to Wednesday. So what we've decided is we will guarantee you a podcast by Thursday. I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah, that's pretty easy. We can set the standard, record on Tuesdays, be up by Thursdays. And I'm not up till 3 in the morning cutting and chopping video and all of that fun stuff. Plus, it allows Trev on these random Tuesdays to go do 24-hour offshore trips and all the chaos. So,
Which has been kind of one of those things for me is kind of, oops, shit, and dropping things. Where things have kind of been a little hectic. I had to go offshore on my last offshore trip of the season, my last
you didn't
charter
have to go, but I told you to freaking go.
How could I
I
not,
told you
dude?
to be nuts not to go.
I know.
It's your last week in the game for the season.
It is, man. And it was on podcast Wednesday, podcast Tuesday. And we kind of had to push things out. So now it's Wednesday. So we're going to podcast here on Wednesday. And then you guys will have it by Thursday. So, which is what it is.
It works.
Hunting fucking season. So,
Yeah.
what's number one priority? Killing
Blood,
shit?
blood. Red blood.
Killing shit. Speaking of blood, why don't you tell us a little bit of what happened to you, Steven?
I killed something.
And not only you, but there's been a lot of bloodshed down there in Virginia.
Yeah. Since you guys left, we've been getting it. Like I said early on in the season, my two main goals was to get you to punch a tag and to get my wife to punch a tag. And once that was done, I would start punching tags. And we didn't punch the tag we wanted while you were here. The bears did not cooperate. And by the way, we've had 2 show up over the course since you've been here. Only 2. So 2 over 14 days.
Well, that's good because if not, I'd stop there on the way to Ohio and fucking punch another.
It literally, right when you got here, took a nosedive. They quit showing up. So we did punch the doe with you. Got that monkey off the back. Broke that curse. That was just a big relief. And let's see, it was last Thursday. So I went out back to the meat factory, as I have so named that spot where we went.
I'm into it.
Because I'm not going to lie, it's a freaking meat factory. If you need meat, you go sit there. We've not sit there and not seen something. So went to the meat factory, took a shot, deflected off of a tree limb, and got the video of it and all that. And it just really ticked me off. It deflected right over her back. And that same night I came home and I was, ticked off and whatnot. And I pull in the driveway and I walk down to the studio and I can see a flashlight wandering around the food plot. So I go down and I went, she shot at something. She's trying to find blood or an arrow or something. And she goes, I took a shot. It was at last light, could barely see the pins, but it was just enough. I could see the body. It was a 30-yard shot, but it was a good shot. And it kicked. And it sounded kind of like when you slap a watermelon, that thump sound. And in
Why are
my
you
head, I
slapping
went,
watermelons?
well, we are in the South. So as soon as she said that, she had the mule kick and that watermelon thump. My mind straight went to lung shot. Because that's when you hit it and you deflate it, that's what you hear.
Right.
And went down in. And so the food plot where she's walking, it's nearly knee high in greens. And I got the good flashlight out, started searching. And I said, where'd it go? And she went up this way, cut around the trees. There's only one trail in that direction. So I jumped ahead 40, 50 yards somewhere in there. And instantly there was blood. Because, I mean, she's shooting 45 or 47 pounds, you know. So it's not going to be a punch through. Didn't expect that. But I knew that we'd have blood within 50 yards. Sure as shit, big pile of blood. No arrow, no nothing. So we just get on the trail. We follow it down, work over the ridge onto the neighbor's property, which we have permission to go on. And we kind of lose blood for about 20 yards. So we're kind of searching, and I find this rock down on a tree line, and it is just sprayed. I said, no, he's bleeding good. I mean, there was no doubt this deer was bleeding good. And she had shot it 45 minutes before I got there. So kept following it, and it became every step and a half, there was blood on both sides.
You had an arrow at this point, or?
No, still no arrow. Never found the arrow.
Damn.
And at this point, I'm going, okay, well, hopefully you hit the off shoulder. And we come to this big downfall, big deadfall oak. And I said, well, he would have diverted off probably this way, path of least resistance, you know, etc. This son of a bitch dove through this downed oak. And I'm assuming that arrow's somewhere in that pile of trees, because on the opposite side of the tree, we picked up the blood trail. And I was kind of dumbfounded. I'm going, no way did this deer dive through that, but it did.
Think he jumped over it?
I think he kind of went
Stumbled
through it.
Yeah.
Threw it, over it, stumbled over it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but there was great blood. So I'm assuming he hit, rolled, got up, kept going. And about 20 yards later, down in the thick shit in the briars in the mountain on that shit that I had you hunting in, we saw belly up. So she got her first buck, her first archery deer.
It was a great deer.
And it's her target deer for the year. That's the one that we had set up. We built the food plots and everything for, and it worked out. So we got that knocked down. So another monkey off the back. And I went, okay, now I can start hunting. So we got up, got everything done. Deer's taken care of. I went back out to the meat factory Sunday evening and kind of went in there going, okay, well, we may have boogered it up. It's a small piece of public. Trev's got his doe. I deflected on that doe the other day. We'll see what happens.
Right.
6 o'clock on the money. That same little sucker that I had shot at comes right in from the exact same spot. And I turned and looked at him and said, you know what? You get a pass. I'm not even messing with you. And you know it's the same one. It just was very evident. So let her walk. And about 20 minutes later, I'd been fighting with some squirrels all freaking evening. And I turned to look at this damn squirrel. Well, it wasn't a squirrel. There were deer popping off the hillside behind me on a run that I didn't even know was there. And was able to make the adjustments, get the camera on them, range them, do everything, and smoked her ass. So that Aries punched a nice clean hole and gave me a whole 20-yard track job.
Hell yeah.
And sat there thinking, okay, you know, because I'd found a beautiful rub in there that I hadn't seen on the ground. Once it got in the tree, I found it. I said, you know, I'm going to just hang tight for a little while. So I gave it about an hour. Had a couple more deer come through and said, you know what, it's that last slide I can barely see in the camera. I'm going to go ahead and hop down. Got down, found the arrow, walked up the hill, and lo and behold, she's sitting on a road on top of the hill. But it would have taken me 30 minutes to get on that road to where she is from where I was parked.
Right.
It was easier to drag her the 200 yards down the mountain to the truck.
Damn.
So, got her down there, got her loaded up. She's all taken care of. and great film on it. I mean,
I can't wait to see it.
It came out really well. Great shot in picture, good slow-mo of the impact. Was ecstatic that the film turned out the way it did, with exclusion to the low light video. Anyone self-filming, heads up, low light video sucks. It is very grainy, it is very sketchy, but I think we'll make it work.
Awesome, man. Congrats, dude. I think that's fucking awesome. I can't wait to see it. And for anybody who does want to see it, you can check it out on our YouTube page. There's actually a couple of different hunts up there already. So
yeah, we got both of yours, or yours and ours.
Yep.
And now we'll have mine up tomorrow. I just finished some of the final touches and things. And
we have Ohio.
We will have Ohio. And hopefully we'll have 2 or 3 videos coming out of that one.
Yeah, we're hoping for that one. There'll be a lot of content coming from that trip, I think.
Yeah, well, considering we have, if we stretch it, 11 days there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're going to kill out day 1 or 2 anyway, but, just saying.
I've been thinking about it, right? So my honest opinion, I was talking to Bones today about it. I'll probably leave Thursday morning real early and get down there because I'm excited. I was talking to Bones today, man, and looking at all the public land, dude, I'm like a kid in a candy store right now, like just checking it out. And if I get down there early enough on Thursday, I want to look everything over. Then you'll be down there about noon time.
I'll be there early Friday.
Yeah, and then we'll have, we'll probably, I won't hunt before you get down there.
I could care less if you do. I'd love to come down there and you and Bones already got bucks hanging on the pole.
I mean, I don't know.
I got a cameraman or 2.
Yeah, right. Oh, fuck you. I'm boot scooting boogieing somewhere else. No. And I'm kind of like, I'm torn because like, I don't know, man. I'm going to stay there for the deer camp thing. I was going to kind of boot scoot and boogie back home if I shot one and just kind of like to get back home. But you know what? I think to suck it all in. I was thinking about maybe reaching out to some friends and maybe busting down another state, but I just think...
Hey, you can always just buy another tag.
Doe tag?
Yeah.
But I already... So you get your buck and a doe.
Right.
Already. But I don't want to shoot fucking does, man. He's going to be in the middle of the rut. I don't want to be in the tree with a bow and arrow in fucking Ohio in the middle of the rut. The doe comes by and there'll be a 160 to come by. Are you out of your fucking mind? No. Bro, you'll all be reading about me in the newspaper because I shot 2 bucks. I'm the next Chris Brackett, dude. Get the fuck out of here. No way.
There it is.
No way. You out of your mind, dude? Speaking of the news for your cruise, I cannot wait to hear this because it's some really cool shit. Speaking of poaching and what kind of goes on behind the scenes. But
it's cool shit, but when you start looking at it, it's kind of funny. If you look up the article and the situation and all of that, it'll be really interesting to see what kind of fallout or no fallout or just kind of how it all goes, if you feel my drift.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think with the amount of big names that are involved with it,
yeah,
and kind of like how big it is and how many animals and stuff. I don't want to ruin it.
Don't ruin it.
Goes deep into it.
Just do me a favor and let's crank it up.
Let's crank it up. Crank it up.
Hey everyone, Mike here with some news for your cruise. Now, normally I try to stick to positive news, but in a case this egregious, I feel the need to share. And I have left out intentionally names in this piece because they really don't matter. What's important is what's going on and what the repercussions are. So, in Nebraska, a 5-year poaching investigation is wrapping up, which has linked over 100 people from 21 different states in the illegal take of big game animals and transporting them across state lines. The case is centered around an outfitter in Nebraska where clients paid between $2,500 and $7,000 for a chance at big game trophies and utilized illegal tactics like baiting and spotlighting. Rifles were also used during archery season, often with suppressors to cover the noise. and some participants didn't even have legal hunting permits. The investigation was conducted by the Nebraska Fish and Game and United States Fish and Wildlife Service and uncovered at least 97 animals being transported across state lines. They also discovered that multiple hunters shot migratory non-game birds, including hawks and falcons, for target practice, and that the co-owner and chief operator of the outfitter killed at least 100 non-game birds. One of the key clients in this case was a TV hunting personality who was ordered to pay $50,000 in fines and restitution. To date, 30 people have pleaded guilty in the case and have collectively been ordered to pay $570,453 in fines and restitution and have collectively lost a total of 53 years of hunting and fishing privileges. The co-owner has been sentenced to 30 months in federal prison in order to pay $214,375 in fines and restitution. He will also not be allowed to hunt, trap, or engage in related businesses for 15 years after his release. Although sentencing is still ongoing, Nebraska hunters are advocating for harsher penalties and steeper fines for those convicted for poaching within the state. And I couldn't agree more. The punishments should be more, as ethical hunters want nothing more than to stop these types of activities. So, Michigan and the growing controversial topic of air-powered bows. On September 30th of this year, the Michigan legislature approved a bill to allow air-powered bows for all hunters during firearm season and for disabled hunters during archery seasons. Alas, the governor has vetoed the bill because it would create an unworkable permitting system for the DNR to manage, she said. The bill relies on a subjective evaluation of physical fitness to determine who qualifies as disabled rather than providing a uniform standard. The governor also said the bill was developed without input from the DNR Accessibility Advisory Council, and any future legislation should be submitted to the council. So hopefully more to come on that if there is new legislation proposing air bows in Michigan. So now off to Missouri and more changes due to COVID. Seen it happen, like I said, on a weekly basis. The Missouri Department of Conservation has changed the mandatory sampling requirements for CWD to voluntary sampling. It's not the first state we've seen do this. This is for 30 counties during opening weekend of the modern firearms season on November 14th and 15th. The 71 CWD sampling stations will remain open in those counties. The MDC staff will take precautions at the sampling stations, and hunters and those with hunters will be asked to remain in their vehicles while the harvest is sampled. Hunters will also only be asked what county the animal was harvested in and will not have to identify the location of the harvest on a map. So now to Texas, where some good news. Hunting and fishing license purchases are on the rise. Texas has seen an increase of over 50,000 combination hunting and fishing licenses and over 70,000 fishing licenses this year. And of the 44 different licenses and permits available with the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, only 7 categories have seen a decrease in purchases. Could be due to COVID. We've seen a lot of states talking about increases in sales this year and people wanting to get out in the woods. Similarly, in Vermont, where archery season is in full swing, wildlife officials say they are seeing more hunters this year. Biological way stations in New Haven and Orwell both say they have seen more deer being brought in this year. The station in New Haven has reported more than double the number of doe compared to bucks this year. The Buxton station has noted a large increase of hunters and deer coming in compared to last year. The owners of both locations attribute the increase to the increased bag limit this year of 4 deer from 3, but the decrease from 2 to 1 buck being allowed across all seasons. And also in Vermont, the youth season and adult mentor season is coming up this weekend, so good luck to all the youth and novice hunters headed into the woods. As always, if you have any news, please send it along. Haven't gotten anything recently from listeners, but I greatly appreciate anything you have. Reach out to me on Facebook at Mike Salter or bearded_bowhunter21 on Instagram. And with that, enjoy the rest of your ride.
So now you guys see what I was talking about. Mike hit the nail on the head when it comes to that. He did a fine job with that and kind of the things that are going on. He's I don't know, man. Mike's really been pretty badass with this News for Your Cruise thing. I've learned a lot throughout the past couple of months here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and like I said, I thoroughly respect the way he went about it. He didn't name drop. He didn't do any of that. If you're interested, look it up for yourselves, form your own opinions, just like we do with anything. Currently it's a he said, she said with exclusion to what's been proved. Everything else, form your own opinion.
And I think this is this. And Mike made a very valid point when we were talking about this today. It's not about who's involved. It's about what they're actually doing. It's not about picking out an individual for what they did, right?
Yes.
So I think that the crime at hand is what needs to be talked about more than who was involved in doing those crimes. That there is people out there doing those things. And it needs to be more aware to what it's all about more than who it is. Fuck who it is. Yeah, they need to be picked on for it, and they should be held to high standards, and they should be held to high penalties. But the crime at hand, not about the person doing the crime, I think, is more. Do you get what I'm saying? I mean, yes, the person at hand should obviously be getting in a lot of trouble, but people need to know about the crimes that are happening, I guess, is more or less.
Yeah. Let's shed light on this takes place, and until someone's caught, no one knows.
Right. Exactly.
People get away with this all the time. So to see something like this come to light,
And my thing with this is that the penalty isn't as high as it should be.
Yes.
They should be hung. They should never be allowed to hunt ever again. They should not be able to, like in this instance, this person has to wait 15 years after the time that he does his time. So he's got to do X amount of months in prison. When he's done with that time, he has 15 years from then to be back in business again. So this guy can go back in business or be a silent partner with somebody else in business and still be back in the same exact thing. No, fucking eye for an eye, dude. No more. You know what I'm saying? You steal in China, they chop your fucking hands off. You poach in United States, you should, I don't even know.
Your tag should be cut off.
Your tag should be cut off. Right, exactly. Like, the fuck? I don't know. I just don't feel that, and this is another thing that kind of irritates me. And the more and more that I talk to people, right, and I learn this, is that, like here in Connecticut, you can't bait unless you're in a baited zone, right? And these guys that shoot these giant bucks, right, they all fucking bait. They all illegally bait.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like these big buck killers and this, that, and the other thing, and they're illegally doing it to kill it. If you can bait, fucking bait, right? Anybody who can bait, just let them bait. You know what I'm saying? If you legally can do it, more power to you, man. If I had a bait zone, I would do it. Like I just got one. I'm going to do it. But don't come to me when you're legally killing big bucks and talk about how you're a big buck killer. Because in all reality, you're legally shooting that deer. And it like kind of gets to me because I'm trying to do it the right way and I'm struggling at it year in and year out, trying to figure out where these bucks move, what these bucks do. And these guys are shooting giant bucks and I'm getting jealous of them. Not really jealous, but just kind of like,
to find out they were illegally baiting the whole time.
What the fuck, man? Isn't that fucking bullshit?
No, I feel you. 100%. I feel you.
And I couldn't do it, man. I couldn't look on my walls in this room today if I illegally shot one of these deer because it wouldn't mean anything to me. The 2 bucks that I have on the wall that are mounted, they mean everything to me because I did everything in my power to kill those deer.
Right. Exactly.
I don't know. It just drives me nuts, man. I don't know about you, but it fucking drives me nuts. And the more and more that I think about it, the more and more that it bothers me. That these guys like are big buck killers. Oh, look at this giant buck, and I got this one on camera and that one on camera. It's all right,
man. Because at the end of the day, you look at it. Let's look through we'll say the last 2 years, 3 years, loose lips sink ships. Dudes do it, and then they start bragging down the road, and then they get fried. And you know what? That's what happens. one upside to social media, people will show their ass
Oh
eventually.
my god! And the whole thing is, obviously everybody's to themselves, and they should have their own goals, and they shouldn't be thinking about what other people are doing. But it's always in the back of your mind, like this dude's doing this, and when you come to find out what he's doing it illegally, like
I feel
with
you,
the
man.
baiting thing,
I feel you.
it's like,
And it's a hot topic, and I feel like we could go down this road
I
for
know.
hours, but I think we ought to move ahead and say some thanks to a few folks and get to the business, because
I know
this
It's about
one
to
gets
get
me
crazy.
heated.
This is, I know
It's a hot topic, man.
it could definitely get crazy. So first and foremost, I want to thank Timbered Tumblers. I'm gonna take a drink. Oh, what the fuck is that?
That's my logo. That's my Hidden Mountain Bowhunter logo.
Come on, how did you get that on there?
Because he's my boy.
That's fucking sick. I didn't even know that you had that on there.
Yes, sir. So the mountains is literally the view from my backyard, and the fog tends to roll up and hide the mountains, and at the base of the mountains is the mouth of the Rappahannock River. So that's the Hidden Mountain Bowhunter logo.
That's fucking badass, dude. Does Kim's have that on it also?
No, she doesn't have it on there.
Oh, but you do.
I do. He
That's
hooked me
fucking
up when we
badass.
made the order. I kicked it over and said, "See what you can do with it," and that's what he did.
I think
The
that's
dude
pretty
can do
badass.
custom work like you wouldn't believe.
Wow,
Anything you
man.
send him, he can put it on your cup.
That's fucking awesome.
So, just saying.
If you guys haven't checked him out yet, make sure to go check him out. Timbered Tumblers. Jason, he's the fucking man. And he does anything and everything you possibly could imagine in a tumbler. Check him out on Instagram and Facebook. We are officially sponsored by Timbered Tumblers. And we are partnered with Nor'easter Game Calls. Get them in close. Nor'eastergamecalls.com for all your custom turkey calls, box calls, grunt tubes, duck calls. He's been doing some crazy shit over there.
Yodi howlers, pins.
Oh, I got a custom pen.
Memory blocks.
Ooh, the memory blocks, guys.
It's
That's huge.
Time of year.
Yeah, why don't you tell them a little bit about that? Let's hit on that for a second.
So I wish I had one in front of me right now to show you, but what he'll do is, if you don't want to go pay for a mount, say you don't want to pay for something extremely expensive, but you want to remember that hunt, he can take anything you collect, say some dirt, some moss, the shaft of the broadhead that broke off, or some deer hair or whatever, and he will put this in an acrylic box that has all of those pieces recreated to remember that it was on, say this dirt with the moss covering the ground, with these leaves, with the broadhead bloody laying on top of it, and he will freeze that in an acrylic block for you.
He's done turkey. You take your old turkey shell and you roll BBs in it with a turkey feather. I mean, literally anything. He's done ashes of past loved ones. You name it, he's done it. I mean, it's incredible what he can do it. As long as he can dry it, he'll put it in there. Little tiny acorns, leaves. He'll make a whole entire scene. You can also laser etch in there names, dates, so on and so forth. So it's a really badass thing, man. It's really cheap. And you can get on nor'eastergamecalls.com, fill out the form, and he'll get it made up for you. So
it's pretty badass.
It is badass. And especially that time of year, you shoot a doe with your little one or, a loved one or whatever, and you want to remember that. It's definitely something to put on the shelf instead of a full mount. So go and check them out, nor'eastergamecalls.com. Also, Wild Edge Inc., the leader in mobile hunting, wildedgeinc.com. Go and get your ropes, the aiders, the naders, the swaders, your perches, the steps. If you guys haven't seen those, definitely a badass thing to get up the tree.
Introducing the Berserker tree saddle.
If you guys haven't seen it, man, it's about to hit the market and it's about to be fucking real. Badass saddle. So go and check them out. WildEdgeInc.com. Also, Wicked and Twisted Bowstrings, wickedandtwistedbowstrings.com. Use promo code OutdoorDrive10, capital O, capital D, capital D10. The custom bowstrings, dude, get Jillified. over at Trader Jan's up in Massachusetts. Also, and you can order those online. You can build them online. You can order them online. They'll ship them, and you can put them on at your own pro shop, or you can go up to Trader Jan's yourself. They're badass. You can get BCY, or you can get Bloodline.
Bloodlines, yeah.
Which is actually a pretty badass string. It's real soft. Never has to be waxed
No
for the life of the
maintenance.
string.
Yep.
It's fucking badass. For some of you
maintenance.
guys.
And from what I hear, it actually increases the actual
Speed.
bow speed.
Fucking badass.
So check them out.
Broadside Camo, broadsidecamo.com. Use promo code OutdoorDrive. The photorealism camouflage. If you guys have checked out any of our videos here on the YouTube channel, you will see that stuff in action. We are now about to break out the Ascender series, which is a new aerial hunting full bibs jacket. It is fucking badass, and it is warm as hell. So I'm excited to use that stuff up in Ohio. And the Closer series, Closer sweatshirts, Versa stuff. So
The Versa
cool.
really ain't going to come in too much at this point. I think all the leaves off, and it's going to be a little chilly. So I think we're going to be rocking the Ascender series pretty heavy in this one.
That's right. Also, Out on the Limb Manufacturing, Out on the Limb MFG. If you guys have not got over there, make sure to go and check them out. I get a lot of people asking me about platforms. That is the home of saddle hunting platforms, camera arms, custom tree stands. They have they have a new tree stand out right now that they just made. It's called the Little Ambush, which is a pretty badass custom tree stand. Very light for you guys that aren't saddle hunters. He's got those, so go and check them out. Out on the Limb, mfg.com. So go and check them out. Also, to add to the list, we are not partnered with or sponsored by, but we do have a promo code for is ODD10, and that is for Gator Outdoors. If you guys listened to the last podcast with Wade Borman about Gator Outdoors, it is a
lifestyle brand.
Yeah.
I think it's the easiest way to put it. Supporting the working class through a lot of different means, how to get low-cost goods that are quality goods, as well as your regular apparel for your everyday stuff. And frankly, he's a guy like you and I out there trying to get his piece of the market. And he does a great job at it.
That's the truth, man. And all the stuff that he does sell. So he's like a superstore for the working class. Lone Wolf Custom Gear. We got the Scrape Stick over there.
XOPs,
Scent Crusher. He's got
a plethora of stuff.
Yeah, man. Go and check him out. He's got a lot of shit, and he's got his own stuff that his own brand from Gator Outdoors. So go and check him out. Use promo code ODD10. Bam. I think that's it. I want to thank everybody. Thank them. If you guys haven't already, please hit the subscribe button on here so you guys can keep up to what's going on. We have a lot of shit coming for this season on our YouTube channel and also on the podcast side. If you guys haven't already, please go and give us a 5-star review. Share and tell all your friends about us. Just spread the word of the love so everybody else can enjoy us.
You definitely want to keep an eye on the YouTube side because Ohio, not only is it going to be kind of crazy, we're going to have a lot of stuff coming at you, but there might be some surprise guests. There may be some cross-platform interaction. There's going to be a lot of stuff popping in Ohio. So if you're not on here, you're probably not going to see it.
The other thing is, I just forgot what the fuck I was going to say.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, we have some badass giveaways because it is deer season, so we're going to start giving things away. And with duck season coming, we might be giving something away for that also, but I really don't want to talk about that just yet. If it's kind of still up in the air.
All I'm going to say is if you're not subscribed, you're going to miss out.
And I'm not sure if everybody's ready for that big giveaway just yet this season.
No, well, and we'll see. I think there are those out there who are going to really dive after this one. But Yeah, my only
Think about it.
advice is subscribe to the YouTube.
And
Because-
to add to it, guys, we just took a step in the right direction of we're gonna have our own website.
Finally, yes, we're slow. Yes, we admit it. But you know
Takes
what? We
time.
wanted to make
Takes
sure we
money.
had enough people out there like you that actually gave enough of a, we'll just say enough of a shit about us
Mm-hmm.
to make it worth putting this together. And at this point, I think we believe there are enough of you that are listening to us retards that we owe you this.
Yep.
So we're
And
making it happen.
And also with the YouTube side, I know we're kind of rambling on and going on with everything, but on the YouTube side, we are also going to have a little, maybe once a month, twice a month, kind of little something or other. So just stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe, guys. That's all we're saying. Make sure you subscribe, because we just want you guys to follow along and not miss out on anything. But let's get on with the show, man. We have one of my favorite people from the Midwest, funniest fucking dude. And
a beast at that.
yeah, man, killing machine, dude. I love following him.
We
I love seeing
spent
what he's doing.
quite a bit of time at the shoot, bullshitting, hanging out, cutting stories. And he's got some new ones since we visited. And I think it'll be really cool to get him to just roll over some of that.
And a shooter, man. He's a big time shooter, long distance shooter. When I had met him, the first shoot that I had gone to, we had the time of our lives, dude. We were shooting 100 and something over the pond, bullshit, and he's just a long range shooter, man. And we just have the greatest time ever. His stories are incredible. The amount of big mule deer that he's killed, just big animals in general, all over the board is kind of incredible. And not even that, but yeah. Dude, I'm losing train of thought. I got so much shit going on in my head
You're
right
good,
now.
man.
It's
You're
like,
good, man. I'll make it easy on you. Ladies and gentlemen.
no, hold on. 1 second. One more thing. I'm sorry. Stop. 1 second.
Ouch.
The new shoot
Yes.
dates are out. Okay? Please do not forget. It is June.
I gotta look at the post. It's too fresh.
No. Fuck. It is June.
We know it's June.
Oh, it's June. It's June 12th. Duh. Didn't you know? It's
What's
June
the
12th.
difference of this year? There's an after party.
There is an after party at a local tavern. So make sure to, guys, mark the calendars for June 12th. If you guys want to caravan out there from the east to the west, let us know. We can all meet up or whatever.
We're in a giant van.
I don't care. I'm thinking that too. If there's enough people that want to jump in and go, I will rent a big van and we will all ride together. If I have to, I will rent an RV. I don't really care. If enough people want to go and they want to get on the train, we will do the drive across the country.
Travel sleep.
Yep. I'm leaving from Connecticut. We go across Pennsylvania. We meet in Ohio. I'll pick you up anywhere along the ride. If anybody wants to go and join us, let us know. Mark your calendars. But let's get this fucking show on the road. Enough of the bullshit.
Ladies and gentlemen, Clay Thurman.
Nice shot. Here comes a shooter. Shooter. Big buck.
Stack.
When are you starting?
Now.
Fantastic.
Well, welcome back.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining the Jackie Bushman Show.
And here's how we start.
This is how we start. We've been joined by a very good friend on the Jackie Bushman Show here
Yeah.
on the Outdoor Drive podcast. why don't we start off right? Clay, why don't you just tell everybody who the fuck you are?
So much for not dropping the big F's.
Oh,
Yep.
man, I
Yep.
forgot.
Yep.
Sorry, ruined that one.
My name's Clay Thurman, and I grew up in Illinois. I've hunted all my life. Killed my first deer when I was 10. Killed my first deer with a bow when I was 12.
I'm done.
Yeah, it's over.
Is that a give up? Like,
No, you're good, man. You're good. Carry on.
I lived in Wisconsin for just a little bit while, and when I say I just turned 40 last week or so, and
Happy birthday.
Thank you. It's odd. I don't feel 40.
That's a
You
good
don't
thing.
look 40, man.
That's a
I thought you
good
were
thing.
30.
Thanks. I know
You
you're
still
full of
hold up
shit,
with
but
the
that's fine.
30-year-olds.
There you go.
I know that.
When I say that I was hunting and killing deer at 12 with a bow, I didn't learn how to shoot a bow in my mind, and I still don't, I guess, know how to shoot a bow. But until I moved to Wisconsin and I was in my early 20s, that's when I really started shooting. And after that, I moved home to Central Illinois for a little while, and I decided at that point that I was going to try and hunt big deer. And I've had some success doing that. I'm a railroader in my professional life.
I was going to ask that. What do you do for real life?
Yeah, and I appreciate the bibs that you wore for me today. That was
that's right. These
very,
are the Clay
very
bibs.
railroady.
Yeah.
But what I really do is I hunt. When people ask me outside of work in a casual situation, what do you do, Clay? And I know they want to know what I do for a living, but I answer to them that I hunt because I don't want to talk about work, right? I want to talk about hunting.
That's right.
Right. So and they say, no, what do you do? And I say, I hunt. I like to hunt. Do you like to hunt? And then I don't know, the meme of Pablo Escobar sitting on the bench, where he's when he's at the party and he's the only one there that wants to talk about hunting. Like, that's me a lot.
Yeah.
Know the feeling.
It's like my life, man. Like, I all the time, like, my wife would be like, "Oh, you want to go to this party or you want to do this?" And I'd be like, "Oh, who's going to be there?" And then they'll say who's there. I'm like, "No. Well, why don't you want to go?" Because I don't want to talk to any of them people. And it's like, it's pre-deer season. Like, all I want to think about is whitetails. I can't hold a normal conversation with anybody who doesn't hunt or fish. They say like some joke about a movie, and I'm like,
huh?
Nice.
Yeah. How about that invite to be in a wedding that's October 4th, or excuse me, November 4th, and you just look at them like,
no, ain't happening.
No, sorry.
It's when you go, sorry, I'll be in Tahiti.
I moved to Nebraska about a decade ago, and that was weird, right? So transitioning from whitetail heaven, Central Illinois, I'll always refer to it as Pike County because I don't want them to come where I hunt. You just go to Pike County if you're going to Illinois. That's where you need to be. But Central Illinois, going from that and then moving to Nebraska. And by the way, moving out of that communist scum state of Illinois was a wonderful thing to go to Nebraska, which is a fantastic place to live and raise your children. But I got to tell you, the areas that I am, central southern Nebraska, not high opportunity, like not a target rich environment, right? And I say that you guys hunt on the East Coast, so you could probably say, let me show you a non-target rich environment, bud. I mean, I'm still in the Midwest, right? But there's a lot less trees, there's a lot less draws, there's a lot less things that I'm used to. So transitioning to Nebraska was really weird. And as I look at how my hunting progressed and how my harvests progressed through the years, it went big whitetails, good whitetails, big whitetails, big whitetails. And then all of a sudden you can tell, if you just flip through the calendar years, you can tell when I moved to Nebraska, because it just completely switched to mule deer, which is a whole nother ball game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And I nobody taught me how to mule deer hunt. I gutted it out and then fell into private land with some really great people, which, you know, always helps. But nobody teaches you how. So like I learned from Cody and Kelsey, like on at whatever they are now, Outdoor Channel or wherever. But that's where I learned a mule deer hunt. And that's tough because you don't get to ask them questions.
Right.
You
You just
don't
gotta
get to
watch
be
their
there.
every
Exactly.
move.
You just gotta
Right.
be there, right?
Yep.
And I can honestly say, first of all, I love those guys. They are my favorite TV show. Like, they're my favorite. However, they've cost me 2 ginormous deer.
Explain that. You got to walk me
Yeah.
through that.
Yeah. How do they cost you, dear?
Okay, so obviously it was my fault, but I was using what I'd seen them do, right? So my second year, this was the year that I killed a big typical 5x5 mule deer, and I can get into that story. But the day before I killed that deer, I call it canyon peeking, crack peeking.
Yep.
So you walk downwind of cracks and you just kind of peek over the edge, and you might know where there's some perennial bedding areas or perennial actual beds. You might not, but I was peeking over, and I peeked over and I fell to my knees because there was a 200 just licking his flank bedded down at, I don't know, 21 yards, right? So all I had to do was draw my bow and wind right in my face, draw my bow, stand up and shoot this animal that was bedded down broadside at 20 yards. And I said to myself, what would Cody and Kelsey do? And I'm sure that Cody would say, well, oh gosh, you know, I just stand up and I'd shoot him, you know, but I didn't know that. So I decided that I was going to cut my wind and sneak around and be 9 yards from him, because that's how they're always standing right next to the animal. I don't know what I'm doing, right? So I do that, and I get out there and I like flex, right? I got my bow in my hand, I flex, and I'm standing out in the sun. I'm like, ooh, this is going to suck, right? I'm going to get sunburnt right here. And then I said in my head, which I do a lot, and it's a fool's thing to say, I'll sit here till the end of time, right? I don't care. I got you. And all of a sudden, his rack turns. He does the old dancey dance. He's going to stand up. I draw my bow, and I'm looking for my peep, and I can't find my peep. And he still doesn't know I'm there, but the wind's kind of swirling over the top of the canyon back to him. I can't find my peep, and I can't find my peep. And then I stop looking at him, and I look up, and I got my bow at half draw. I completely shit down my leg. I got my bow at half draw, and I draw your bow, you idiot, right? And I draw my bow, and I get it back, and then of course he explodes and he's gone. So
Damn.
yeah, that was number one. Number two was this year. I was mule deer hunting with my friend Damian Riffle. He slides out to Nebraska. He shoots a big 160.
I saw that.
And this, yeah, well, that deer, by the way, that score does not talk about that deer. It doesn't give him any kind of credit at all, because he did that he was missing a top and missing a front, and he still made 160. The deer had 7.5-inch bases. He was ginormous.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and this idiot passed him so he could shoot him. I'm super happy for him. Anyway, next day, Damien finds a deer for me, and he says, you know, I've got this big deer, get in here. So I'm not exactly a specimen of health, if you know what I'm saying. So he was like a million miles, you know, back on public land. You know, I'm making a joke, but he was forever back into this piece. And I'm up and down these canyons. I finally get to him. I'm almost ready to die. He's got the animal in his binoculars on a tripod. I look, I see him. I find where I'm going to go. There's a really nice pine tree very near him. It was about 35 yards when I got there. Everything's cool. I got my shoes off and stand on the side hill, and I said, I'll stand here till the end of time. I got you, buddy. You're mine. And I'm kind of on the curve of a hill, and I see him do the antler thing, and I've got great wind. I see him do the antler thing, and I draw my bow back, and I'm all good. And then I see, as I'm just starting to get settled, his rack turns and faces me. And Cody and Kelsey always lay down, right? They always duck down. So my stupid ass ducks down at full draw, and I take a knee on the hill, and I'm like, it's okay. He's going to turn his head. Meanwhile, this deer is broadside. Now he's looking at me, but I've got the Josie Wales sun directly in my back. He can't see anything.
I
He
love
can
that
see nothing.
description.
Well, you know, I almost spit, right? So he's looking right in my direction, and then he starts to look the other way, and I stand up, and I'm like, all right, it's night time. And he jumps this cliff at me, and now he's walking at me. And I had been in my head splitting the pins, my 30 and 40, and he walked at me, and now he's walking at me like this, and he's eating on the way to me. And I can't. I mean, you can't shoot at him. You can't shoot at him at all like that. He could ninja chop your arrows out of the air, you know, when you let go with his horns or something. I don't know, but it's not a good shot. And he's big. And when I say big, he was a big, deep forks, deep tops, deep fronts, an 8 to 10 inch kicker off his left G2,
Jeez.
and another kicker below that was 5-6 inches. This deer is 180 inch typical with those flyers as well. Like, this is a big deer. He gets to about 20 yards facing me, and then he gives me that, you know, oh shit, he's got a gun look, like he sees me, and he just gives me a little bit of room, or a little bit of rib, and I try and slip one in, and I loined this deer. Like, nightmares upon nightmares, I loined the deer.
No
right?
man's
So,
land.
oh, it was terrible. It went to the fletch. The deer didn't bleed. We watched him go for 1,000 yards minimum, and then we got some permission from a landowner to go to this spot and look for him, and they gave us permission for 1 hour to
Damn.
go into this. Yeah, it's their property. If I got something to say about it, I should buy my own, right?
I feel you. I get it.
We were confident. We had a 4-wheeler, and I had Damien, and Damien is a horse, right? The guy's a mountain goat. So he was all over everything. And we covered it pretty good. I don't believe the deer was there, and I also believe the deer's going to live.
Oh,
so it is what it is. I don't want to dwell on that too much, because I like talking about happy shit.
Fair enough.
That's crazy.
It was, I don't know, man. I shoot my bow a lot. You guys know I shoot my bow a lot. I shoot my bow well, and we're talking about a what is now, you know, a 22 3-yard shot. I mean, Trevor, when's the last time you missed a bag at 23 yards?
When I forget to turn the dial.
Yeah.
Good
right?
answer.
Yeah. So I missed this deer, and it didn't turn out well. Or I didn't get the deer, I guess. But I think we were talking about transitioning from Illinois to Nebraska.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, it's got to be a whole different world.
Absolutely. And here's something that I had to get into. I had hunted family property my entire life. And so now you go into, you don't have any friends even, let alone family that's going to allow you to hunt. And the people out here were pretty awesome, right? I had some really good people take me in and just allow me to have a place to go hunt. And it was really important to me. And the first couple of years I was here, I didn't prioritize because, I don't know, that deer right there is 2011, I think, and that deer is 2012. You know, I was killing 165s, high 170s in Illinois, and I wasn't prioritizing Nebraska. I was just going back for 2 weeks and killing a nice deer. And so I didn't have whitetail property until last year in Nebraska. You know, we're talking about almost a decade. And I finally got out, and Nebraska's got a funny law, or a funny way of doing things, they put your county on your plate, on your license plate.
Right.
So like 45 county is where I'm from. If you have a 45 county plate, it's like you're okay. But if you have a 14 county plate and you're from Adams County, Nebraska, and you pull into somebody's driveway and ask them for permission, you are not getting permission.
You don't have
right?
a chance.
Yeah. So
They're that crazy about it?
well, it's city versus country, right?
Okay.
So that's the difference. It's not rural area versus rural area. It's outsiders kind of a thing, you know, and
It'd be like someone from Hartford coming and asking you to hunt in your backyard.
I'm sure that's correct, right? But then when we moved away from a city, because I'd never really lived in a city before, and I thought I hated Nebraska, but I don't. I hated living in town. So when I moved out of town, all of a sudden it was like I was home again, minus the trees. So
Right.
I don't know. It was just tough, and I've killed some really good deer in Nebraska once I finally started getting the hang of it. And I've lost some properties, I've gained some properties, and I'm enjoying it. Right? Like I like living here. Would I rather be there where there was lots more bigger whitetails? Well, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. That'd be all right. I don't think if you compare the two, there's nothing like being close enough to a mule deer to where you know that if you wanted to, you could probably make that last 15 yards of the stalk and touch him. Like
Right.
You really could, and you know you could, and he has no idea. Like there's something to be said about that, but it doesn't measure up to a giant whitetail standing underneath your tree. It just they're not like the other. There's nothing that compares the two.
Oh yeah, they're night and day. There's no denying it.
So is when you had moved from Illinois to Nebraska, did you have to like up your shooting game also because like the distances that you had to shoot or whatnot?
Objection, Your Honor. That's a leading question.
I was not sustained. I was shooting out to 60 when I was at home. And, you know, that was no problem. I was killing does on occasion, you know, at 50. But when you come out here, and like I said, I don't know what to expect, right? I don't have any idea. So I just started shooting as far as my bow would allow me to shoot. As far as my sight picture would go before I started getting deflection. You know, my 20-yard pin isn't in the middle of my sight picture. It is at the very top. So I started working back, and the short answer to the question is absolutely. The long answer is I don't know if I needed to, but I don't know if you're a Tremors fan, but Burt Gummer is like my hero, right? And he says,
Bert.
if you need, that's right. If you need it and don't have it, you'll sing a different tune. And I like to be able to shoot 90 yards. Am I going to shoot deer at 90 yards? No, probably not. But you would think, and here I am, I just got done telling you a story about how I loined one at 22, but you would think that shooting at that distance makes shooting at the closer distances. And you guys know this. I've seen you both shoot. You're shooters. Shooting at those distances is a totally a humbling experience. And then when you go to 20, it's like, is this what we're doing? You know?
Right. You get a little
like,
overconfident.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. And it's, but then again, it's pretty tough for you to miss a target, just a target in your backyard when you don't forget to roll your pin. That's why I'm a fan of multi-pin sights.
I'm right there with you.
Especially in the hunting scenario.
Yeah. I upped it quite a bit, and I can't shoot 100 unless I actually cross the road at my current house. So I'll go like into the golf course, shoot back across the road, and then all the way down my property line as far as I can go. And I think that doing that makes you confident.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about the level of confidence you have, I think, when it comes to making that count. And I've obviously I've had some situations arise where it didn't matter how much I shot. You know, if I'm shooting 50 arrows a night and then I go loin a deer the next week, there's things that you can't account for. And
Right.
and a situation where a 180-inch deer is walking at me at 20 yards and doesn't know that I'm there, and I'm standing in open country. Like, let's take all the furniture out of your living room, Trev, and then you stand on one side and I'll stand on the other. Like, that's how open it is between me and this deer. And I just I wasn't able to handle that personally. Obviously, otherwise I'd have stroked him.
Well,
So,
see, and that's one thing, and some people may claim they never get it. Some people may deal with it. But when you're faced with that kind of situation, your mind kind of goes haywire. And all you remember is, I remember I clipped on and I pulled back and I pulled the trigger. And you're thinking through your head, where was my pin? Was I on him? Was I looking through my peep? Did I level my bubble? Was I anchored correctly? You know, because at that point it's pull back, let go.
Yep.
And until you've been in that situation, you really don't know how you're going to react. And I don't know what it is, but mule deer and elk will do that to you every time. Whitetail, I tend to think a little better because I know they're a little more fidgety, so I think through things. But mule deer and elk, because you think that, oh, well, here we are, and they have no clue. It should be easy, right? Wrong. And that's the experience I've had.
I think everybody's had that at some point in time. And it just, I suppose if you went out there and you just nonchalantly shot a 190-inch deer and climbed down out of your stand and walked over to him and loaded him in the truck and went and made dinner, that's not, we wouldn't do this shit, right?
True story.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if you do that, you got to be living in Iowa or something.
I know, right?
Because it don't happen here.
Speaking of making dinner, I want to share my two favorite things when it comes to cooking. I know you guys used to do a cooking segment, but you haven't done one forever. So I'm going to do a teeny tiny one right here. And it has to do with Louisiana Supreme is a marinade. If you marinate venison in Louisiana Supreme and then grill it that way, it's wildly good. If you haven't do that, you two both have to try that.
And then do it. It's on the list.
Yep. And then Cavender's Greek seasoning on everything else. Everything. My two favorite things in life when it comes to food. Other than Trevor's lobster rolls, because I don't know how he does that.
That's easy. He makes some and he goes, Steve, so I can fry them.
How does he do that shit?
Oh, Trev's the man when it comes to some seafood.
No, I'm not. I'm like a 3 out of 10 to what's really up here, but that's besides the point.
Well, yeah, we're
talking out west to where nobody's had it, and then they think that you're the shit. Which,
I mean, Trev's the only guy that he comes down here to come hunt bear and deer, and he goes, "Oh, here's some thresher shark. Just throw that in your freezer." Okay, you got it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats on that tuna.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Dude,
thank you.
Wow. Like, I'm not a huge fisherman. I like to catch, right? But that is, if people don't understand what you did, that's a thing, right? That's not a small feat. Like, you're kind of a big deal if you can do that. So very cool.
It's like, I don't know. To me, that's like, to catch that fish was probably to shoot my first 180. I think it was in comparison. That's
not like a 200. It's not like a 200.
No, 200. Really? 200 is a 100-incher. That's my next goal. That's what I'm trying to break. Is I want to break 100 inches. That was my goal for the season. It's not over yet, but that's my goal. I want it. My 200 is catching a 100-inch fish, which is a grander. But in the fishing schemes of it, I'm a badass. In the hunting scheme, I'm just fucking new, bro.
He's got the fish you don't have, and you have the deer that he doesn't have.
That's what it is, man.
I did catch a trophy fish once. I caught an 89-inch sailfish.
That's a fucking good fish.
Yeah.
It was a good fish. But that's the only fish I've ever caught. Like,
Trev, you lost
it
a few
was-
of those yesterday.
No, swords. We're
No.
sword fishing.
My bad.
Where were you when you caught that?
off the coast of Cancun.
Wow,
Like,
that's bad.
bored out of my mind because we trolled for 3 hours and 25 minutes, and then all of a sudden it went ring, pop, and then he was on. And yeah, that's not much of a story. Like,
No, but
they
it's
held it up and then they threw it back.
it's cool though, man. And that's the thing with offshore fishing, and people don't understand is like it's 10 hours of misery and 2 hours of just the greatest shit in the world. And it happens in a matter of a second. Like everything could go from just everyone kind of hanging out to like craziness.
Well,
When
I
all
need to
heaven-
go when there's not 6-foot seas on a 25-foot boat. Like, I need to go when that's not happening because
Mhm.
I did not enjoy my experience. I got to tell you,
He sounds
Really?
like me.
it was not good. Like, I guess I don't even know what 6-foot seas are. I know that I felt like I was moving 12 foot back and forth every time we went over a wave.
Okay, his sounds like my shark fishing experience.
Yeah.
Hey, what is your favorite part about, like, the execution portion of a shot? What is your favorite part of the, the deer comes in and start there until the time that a deer falls over? What do you have a favorite part? Like, is it the anticipation? What is it?
Trev, I'll let you take this one first.
No, I think I honestly it's oh, that's tough, man. That's a crazy question. I think it's that last, I guess my everlasting moment, which would actually probably be my favorite, is like that split second when you're at full draw and you're about to pull the trigger and just the world stops.
Mm,
It literally stops because
yeah.
I can remember it like it's yesterday. Like just
Yep.
every single deer. I don't care if it's a small doe to the biggest buck that I've shot. Like it's that just when you're at full draw, everything aligns, the peep, the sight, the animal, and then you pull the trigger. And that right then and there, the world just stops. And that's it right there.
So there was Kevin Costner's been in like 50 baseball movies. There was one where he was a pitcher and like he would say mechanism on or some shit, and then everything else would get blurry except that. You ever see that show?
Yep.
That's what it's like. That for me, I feel that when I'm at full draw, and that's my part isn't right before. My favorite part is when you let go, and that arrow is much higher than the animal. It's much higher than the animal, and everything's obviously in slow motion. And when that arrow drops home, and that knock disappears into that deer, is one of the wildest, most surreal moments you can ever have. There's nothing like that in the world.
You stole my thunder, Clay, because that's exactly what I was going to say. Maybe not quite as gracefully as you said it, but I was going to say from that second that trigger's released and the arrow leaves the bow, and you've got that split second of whatever happens is going to happen. Either you executed right, it's now what you did versus what the animal's going to do, and it's out of your control.
It's over.
Either you
And
land
it
it
just,
or you don't.
and then there's that worst part about that situation when the arrow is beautiful and it's coming in right perfect, and you watch it drop and hit right between their feet. That's happened. That's
Or right
happened to
over its
me.
back.
Oh,
In the
yeah.
back tends to be the theme this year.
November 2nd, 2008. One of the worst days of my life.
What happened?
I wasn't really running cameras at that point. I mean, I had some out, but I didn't know what was there. I was just hunting the rut, which I think is a correct thing. And I want to get into that a little bit too, just from some personal feelings towards that. I'm in a stand, and it is a super tall stand. And when people say I was 40 feet in the air, they weren't 40 feet in the air. I was 40 feet in the air. I was easily 40 feet in the air. I had 2 sets of full length sticks to get to where I was. So I'm in this stand, and I drew back, and this is where the saying originated from, because it's the first time I ever said it, mentally to an animal. I was like Jedi mind tricking him. I'm filming over my back. I'm filming this little, I don't know, there's a fork horn, whatever, a really small basket rack, and I'm filming him, and I look in front of me, and I've got a corner of a cornfield, and I don't know, a 165-9 with a 7-inch flyer off his 2 is at 20. He's already came in, turned the corner at 20, and is now going away. And I throw my camera. I had a cameraman stand in there with me. I thought I was going to have a TV show, right? So I throw it in the cameraman stand that doesn't have a cameraman in it, and I turn around, and I grab my bow, and I draw my bow back, and now he's at like 50, walking dead away. And I didn't know what to do. I'm already at full draw, and I gave him the old, and
Yep.
this deer turns around, and he looks at the basket rack, and he goes, "I don't think so, Scooter." And he starts walking. He starts walking at me, and it's like, yeah, Brad, I'm the man. I just told this deer what to do, and he's gonna do what I said. And he gets to 40, and now he's facing me. You know what? I apologize. I hadn't drawn back yet. When he starts walking my way, I drew back, and he was at 40 yards. And at that point, that's a chip shot. That's not a hard shot. And I got my bow back, and it was an old Matthews switchback at like 65 pounds. I was shooting an XT, and he turns, or no, he's facing me, and I said, "I will hold this bow back until the end of time. I got you." And this deer stands there. How big deer do? He stands there, and about 30, 40 seconds in, we got a little hand bouncing. And then the front of the bow starts getting a little bit heavy. And then pretty soon I'm going like this, and I'm trying to hold it back with my face, because I can't hold it back anymore. I mean, it's been, a minute's a long time, right? And then I'm sure there's guys out there could hold their bow back for longer than me, but I had held it back as long as I could. And I finally the bow let itself up. And he is now still staring at me, and he's staring at this little buck, and he decides, I don't think I want to be over here. And he starts to turn, and he stops. That sounded kind of nor'eastery, didn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. I like that.
He turns, and he stops broadside, and I'm like, yep, it's time. And I can't draw my bow back because I'm completely gassed. And I put my bow down, and I started taking really deep breaths, and I'm trying to get some sort of oxygen into my blood. And he walks out to 50, and he comes back again to 40. And I get drawn back on him, and I decide to take this shot at him. And I look in front of me, and there's a little leaf and a little limb on the tree, and I'm like, nah, 90% air, right? Oh, well, it obviously it deflected, and I see the lighted knock doing the old dance, and it was beautiful, right? Slow motion. And then all of a sudden it just dropped right past him, hit right between his legs. So that was, I don't know why I keep telling you stories about me missing.
It's all good though.
It's kind of refreshing though,
It
because
is.
that's reality. You don't kill a lot of big deer without learning from a lot of mistakes.
Oh man. And I know one thing, life lessons with Clay Thurman: you cannot hold a bow back until the end of time. It is not possible. You can't do that. So don't kid yourself.
The title of the episode.
Yeah.
That's right. You can. Life lessons with Clay Thurman. That's what you can do right there. Oh,
love it.
another life lesson. Never squirrel pouch moonshine. If I will tell you about this. And this I've told this story 500 times, and I will tell it every chance I get for the rest of my life. So first of all, I need to explain to you what squirrel pouch and moonshine is.
I was going to ask that first. Yeah.
Okay. So squirrel pouching something would be taking a large enough drink that your cheeks fill, and then you keep drinking. And then after you take the drink away, it takes 3 or 4 more swallows to empty your mouth of the liquid that you're consuming. Never do that with moonshine. And I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to use his name or not. I'll just say his first name, obviously, because there's about 1,000 mics out there. So it was my good friend. He comes over one Saturday night and he says, and this is really off subject, but we're going to do it.
It's okay.
He says, "Hey, man." He says, "Hey, man." This is years ago. He says, "Hey, man, I don't have to work. Harvest is over. Let's drink. Let's have a good time. Let's visit." And I was like, I'll have a. He's like, "Let's go to the bar." And I said, I don't want to go to the bar anymore. Like I'd rather stay here. I got beer, I got some wine or whatever. What do you want? So he says, okay. And this guy pours himself a Beam and Diet, right? A full, huge glass of Beam and Diet. And this guy's not a drunk. He's not a terrible drinker. But so this dude drinks this glass, and I guess I didn't realize how heavy he poured it, but it is what it is. And I think I had a glass of homemade wine in front of me. And pretty soon he says, "Hey, I won 2 shots and 2 free drinks at this bar on the radio." He's a trucker. He called into a radio station, whatever. And he's like, let's go. And I said, all right, that's fine. So we go back and we go to this bar, and long story short for that part, we leave, right? We get the drinks. I convince him to come back, and we're sitting in the basement, and I see him get ready to pour himself another big drink, and he pours his big drink, and I'm reaching back. I had a jar of Shine, and I opened up the Shine, and this was lightning. It wasn't Shine. It was
real
straight.
White lightning.
Yeah, it wasn't cut at all.
Good old fashioned corn whiskey.
Yeah, so I took a little sip of it, and I set it down on the table, and I smoked at that time. And I reached back to grab my cigarette out of an ashtray, and when I turned around, I see a full squirrel pouch. And so he he sets the jar back down in front of me, and I went, and I slowly pulled it away from him, and we go on talking, and it's been 45 minutes or something, and I look up, and it's like midnight, and I don't stay up late. And I'm like, hey, if you and I sit here, we'll sit here until 4:00 in the morning, and we're going to ruin our days off, right? We don't want to sit here and heal all weekend. Let's just do this. Let's call it. You go home. We'll talk tomorrow. He said, okay, let's do it. On way up the stairs, and he's fine. Like, the guy's fine. He had that big Beam earlier, but he's fine. He's walking up the stairs, and I hear him bump into the wall, and I was like, oh, he just kind of lost his balance.
It hit him.
So yeah, and he lives across the street from me, right? So he walks up, and I later find out that the last thing that he remembers is stepping off of my porch. And I just don't think he knew what he was doing. Like, he wasn't doing it on purpose. And like I say, the guy's not a big drinker. So he leaves. And then the next day, I tell you all of that, and it's long, and I'm sorry. I tell you all of that to tell you this. The next day, I'm standing in a 3-gun competition, loading an AR magazine, because I've got to shoot. I'm like in the hole or something. And I got to shoot, and I'm loading an AR-15 mag. And he calls me and say, hey, what's up, man? And he goes, oh, nothing. I said, hey, make it quick. I'm loading the mag. I got to shoot. And he goes, well, I guess I shit up the house last night. And at that point, I stopped loading my magazine. I laid it on the table. I looked at my friend who was there and I said, I'll be right back. And I calmly and politely said to him, you have my attention. So he wakes up and he's laying and he just feels terrible. He's laying there and I get all this later, right? He's telling me this over the phone. He's laying there and all of a sudden he feels himself itching, right? And he realizes he realizes that his butt is like spackled shut with poop. And that there's little poop crusties and stuff. And so he goes to the shower and he like, you know how there's always a mirror like over, you know, in the bathroom and he's reaching past it to turn the shower on and he jerks his head back and he looks and he has like a Pawnee Dances with Wolves handprint on his face, right? And then he goes and he looks down and he's got a Pawnee handprint on his stomach and another Dances with Wolves handprint on his knee. And he says at that point, he gets in the shower and he's all crying game in the shower, right? And his wife comes in and she opens the door and she says, are you okay? And he says, yeah, I think so. And she said, okay, good. What the hell's in the middle of the living room floor?
Oh, shit.
So he we have to do some Perry Mason to figure out what happened here, right? So he gets a little bit of information from her and then he and I kind of patch this together. So here is what happened and here is why you don't squirrel pouch moonshine. He comes home, his wife is like, I'm gonna go sleep in the basement. And then he sits down to watch TV, sharts, and then like takes his pants off right there and then drags it down the couch and finishes the business. And then he puts his hand in it, right? Because he puts his hand in it and and then he gets done and he goes, oh. And he realizes what he's just done, and that's where the next handprint comes in because he projectile vomits across the living room. And he puts his hand on his knee and he gets that one too. And then as he's walking away, he kicks his underwear and they land on the kitchen table. And that's where she found him the next day. And she got new carpet and new furniture. And I don't know why I just chose to tell you that story, but I think it's valuable. It's like a PSA, because if you squirrel pouch moonshine, you will absolutely regret that shit. Like, don't do that. It's for sipping, right?
Oh my goodness.
It's for sipping. That is a life lesson that I would pass to someone.
Hands down.
Again, this guy, awesome person, stand-up guy, not some kind of drunk. He's a guy who went from zero to squirrel pouch just like that. And you don't do that.
You don't do that.
Wow.
I kind of derailed us. Let's
I love it. I love it.
No, I think it's great. I think it's a life lesson that needs to be
hands
told.
down. Probably we've had some funny stories on here.
We almost need a squirrel pouch t-shirt.
Oh yeah, never
following my drift.
T-shirt. You know what other t-shirts you need? Bambi's mother was a management dough t-shirt.
Oh, now we're going down a rabbit hole I can get behind.
I love that. I think it's hilarious. And
Bambi's mother was a button dough.
Oh God.
Bambi was a button dough.
Oh. So let's talk about cell cameras.
No. I want to. Before we go crazy on the cell camera thing, I want to go back because you had said something about hunting the rut, and you wanted to talk about hunting the rut.
So that leads into cell cameras, and we'll talk about that at the same time there. So
because it is pre-rut here now. I don't know what it is over there on that side of the world, but here it's pre-rut.
Yeah, they're thinking about it, right? I'm starting to get a few more pictures here and there, and a little bit of daylight to some 130-ish type deer.
I got my first daylight today. Can I share?
Got a day walker.
Can I share? It's fucking pretty cool. I'm excited. I'm going in after him tomorrow.
Very nice.
Yeah, he called me. He goes, "I got a day walker, dude. What do you think?" And I went, "Why are you not in there tomorrow?"
5:49. There he is.
Hold still. You're
Zoom that
good.
bad
Hold still.
boy in a little.
No, it's all right. Just hold. Oh, he's nice.
For an East Coast deer, he's not bad. Here, I'll show you a little bit. Here, I'll zoom in.
There you go.
Yeah, he's nice.
Yeah, that's an
He's
East
a
Coast
shooter.
trophy.
That's an East Coast 130. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, I was in West Virginia last week hunting deer, and I would have shot a 115 all day. If one walked in and there was one,
Dude, you should have
in the
called.
area.
You were like an hour from me.
Well, I was doing the whole mountain mama thing, I guess. I don't know.
Do you hear any banjos?
Oh man, I loved it there. Like, it was awesome. I don't want to get that's a whole nother podcast talking about West Virginia. That's like a two-parter.
We'll reserve that one now.
Needless to say, the only thing I got in West Virginia was some really good shine and a friend. So those are two good things I brought back, but it sure as hell wasn't a bear or a deer.
Did you see any mountain mutants?
No, like Hills Have Eyes shit?
Yeah. That's everybody in West Virginia.
Trev got to see some mountain mutants while he was down here.
Steven thought I was getting fucking shot at in the tree stand.
Oh, yeah, dude. Like, I'm having a straight heart attack, panic attack, flashbacks to Iraq because I hear gunshots right in line with where I know Trev's sitting. And I know how some of these mountain mutants are. I'm trying to send him a message. We have no service whatsoever where we are. And I'm like, crap, I can't get it out, and I'm not getting anything from him. I'm like, crap, dude. I hope somebody didn't come down and find him and go, "You're too close to my property." Bang, bang, bang.
Actually, in the YouTube video that we just released from the Virginia trip, it was actually in there about with the guy shooting. Fucking, they're crazy down there. It's a whole different breed of human being.
Anyways,
carry on. So rut hunting.
So
if we ever get there,
I enjoy the tangent. So obviously, I have to preface this with, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Who am I, right? There are people that know way more than me, and I'm not the end-all, be-all. These are just my opinions, and this is how I like to do things, and it's what I've learned. And I've learned a lot in the past recently in the past 2 years, that have changed the way that I think. But it all kind of rolls back to this for me. Cell cameras now, if you have an unlimited amount of cell cameras, people that hunt October, and by the way, those people are killers, right? They're putting crazy time in. People that hunt October and that kill deer in the middle of October, and they use cell cams to do it, it's different. Right? It's different than the way your father hunted or my father hunted. It's not, it's hard to describe because I just now slipped into that cell camera realm. And by the way, I love it. This isn't a trad bow guy insulting people with wheelbows. I love the cell cameras because they allow me to be lazy, right? I'm all about that. So, but what happens is these guys, they get so much intelligence, which they work very hard to get. They get so much intelligence on that deer, right? Because they're hunting that single deer, that I don't know, it's almost like cheating. And by the way, cheat, like shoot those big deer. Like I said, I'm not taking away from that. And I'm not trying to be political either, because I don't care. But if you know the exact place a deer walks every day, and you have something that sends you something that tells you when he's walking there, it's a different kind of hunting. So it's a different kind of hunting than happened before there was cell cameras, and even back before there was just cameras. People were actually scouting. People were looking for tracks. People were looking for crossings. They were doing observation sits and really learning the property that they were hunting on. So rut was the time to get that all taken care of.
Right.
So when somebody hunts strictly off the cell camera thing, it doesn't make them any worse of a hunter. As a general rule, somebody who does that and really puts a lot of time into cell cameras and things like that, they're killers. Like those guys are.
Oh, I get it. 100%.
They kill big deer. There's something to me personally, and I don't want to say I like getting lucky, right? Because it takes a lot of work to get lucky a lot.
Of course.
But bonus bucks, people talk about bonus bucks. Oh, I've never seen that deer. I think, and it's a weird, I don't know, it's a weird way to think about it. But I think that when people kill bonus bucks, it's a testament to their scouting ability a little bit. It doesn't mean it every time, but if you're putting yourself in those positions without the kind of instant data that's getting sent to your phone to let you know animals are in the area and when they're moving in daylight hours, if you're killing bonus bucks like each year consistently, for me, right, that's something that I respect. I'm not saying I don't respect the killers that smoke them with the cell camera. Damian Riffle uses cell cameras heavy, and that guy is a murderer. Like I want a shirt that says I want to be like Damian, right? The guy kills giant deer. So I don't take away from that. But for me, I think we get so far away from scouting and knowing properties that I think we kind of lose something. I don't know.
You're not alone. And like I said, don't get me wrong, and I'm with you on this 100%. I have a property that's 3.5 hours away that I have cell cams on, strictly out of the fact that it's 3.5 hours away. How do you keep tabs on that without driving down there and pulling that shit and checking that shit? You know, I know the status of my batteries and my memory card and what's coming through.
And you know when a tree is making your camera take 7,000 pictures and you're not wasting the whole thing, you can shut it down or go trim or whatever you need to do. Turn the sensitivity down. They're amazing tools. And now that I've talked about how it takes it away, I've also like the intelligence that you get from them. I mean,
yes,
it's so crazy. And I'm using a Spartan, and I've never used any other ones, so I don't have anything to base it off of, but I can say that I am 100% happy in every way with this Spartan. So if someone's out there looking for a camera, that's a good camera. I would recommend that one, right? And I've only got one, and next year I'm going to drop some serious coin, and I'm going to get about 10.
See, and that's what Trev did in his case, and I'll let him speak to that. On my end, I have run spy points, and they've been hit or miss. Trev has had great luck with the newer ones. I've run a stealth cam, which has been an absolute shit show from day one through 3 different versions they've replaced. And I've run a Bushnell, 2 Bushnells now, and both Bushnells have performed admirably against my expectations. I thought they'd be crap.
Yeah.
So they've done great. But I know Trev, they went out and they did exactly what you're talking about for some of those hard to get places that you don't want to traipse through to pull your cards and get the data, they got some damn good intel, and I'll let him cover that.
Yeah.
Well, we had started with the cuddy back system, right? The link system. We had gotten one of those, and
Sorry,
it's fucking garbage. Garbage, because
D batteries. Come on.
And the problem with it is you can't run them on lithiums, so the longevity of it is garbage, right? So we have these things all the way back in public, and what most people would say is a mile hike, or they go a
6
mile
mile hikes
deep.
back there. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is fucking 6 miles. It's miserable, and the way we have to get in is through a creek and wade through there, and I mean it's like it's no joke. So you put them in there. We put them in the end of July, early August, and by the end of August, they're dead.
Yep.
And because
If
they've
you're
been
lucky.
linking back and forth to each other. So then we had bought a dozen spy points, and
So the cuttybacks, what they talk, one talks to the other, talks to the other, talks to the other, and it allows you to daisy chain out into the woods.
yeah, so
Basically, yes. And it sends to what's called your home camera, which is your easy access camera. And you
and
walk
that
in,
one,
you pull that card, and it has the pictures from all the other cameras. But in transition, it sucks the life out of the batteries of every camera.
And
you
ours
get
was
about
It's a
a
good
week out of it.
idea. It's a good idea, but
Right.
it's like a Spartan just kicked the living shit out of it because you don't need a home camera. You just use that one.
Yeah.
well, and the thing with this, so it's actually kind of badass. So the Link wireless, and what that does is that links the 3 cameras to the home camera. So you have 4 cameras, and then your 4th camera or your home camera is wireless. So then it sends it back to you, so that
So
you
it
don't
sends
have
you
to have
all
4
the
cameras.
cameras.
Yeah. So like on a plan with X amount of pictures or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So you're not
Okay.
paying per
You're
camera.
paying for one camera on wireless, and the other 3 are sending to that camera.
And if it went to like a AA lithium, it probably would work out a little bit better. But
Or even give you
I
a
don't
solar
know.
option. Not that where you have them would ever get sun.
So the
But-
problem with them now, like, so I have spy points, and I still run the stupid cuddy backs too, but I got to put them closer. But the spy points is that they don't always they don't transfer back to you. So like, fucking, you'll be looking every single day, and you're hoping for those pictures, and then 3 days later, a buck comes through. The pictures come through, and there's been a buck there for 3 days, and you're like, what the fuck?
See,
So
and
now
that-
you're missing out on that.
That's the one thing I will say. Of all the cameras I've run, I haven't had the opportunity to run the Spartan, but the Bushnell of all cameras is the
It's a
only
wireless?
camera. Yeah, we
Oh,
have
nice.
2 Wi-Fi's down on the North Carolina property, or 2 wireless, and those things have never skipped a beat as long as they're in service.
And I had never.
Let's talk about the service. So let's talk about service, because this farm that I'm running one close to home. It's close to home. It's 10 miles, but it's here. I had never run one before. I put it out to see it would go. And when I walked down into the woods, this is, I call it the murder hole. There's just a really nice spot on this property. I put it down in there. And when I drop over this cliff, there is no service. And I'm not talking spotty service. I
It
mean,
disappears.
none. It's off. My phone says no service. So here I am looking at this camera with 3 bars, because the antenna is this big, like it's a whale tail. It's as big as my hand. And I put it on there and it just works. So if I can do that, I'm fully impressed.
That's amazing. And,
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny is that we're talking about cell cameras. Do you? I left for a second there. For those that weren't paying attention, does anybody know what this is? You ever seen this? You know what that is?
That's a bobbin.
Yeah.
Do you know what that goes to?
That's an old bobbin pin on a sewing machine.
No. Do you know what this is?
Throwback.
How
And what
old
this is?
that?
It's kind of funny, and it actually this played out very
I
well.
can't believe you still have that thing, dude.
Well, so this is funny, and I don't have one, dude. I have bags of them. So I had gone to my brother's house today, where it's my
That's
first,
what you didn't tell me
my
about.
homestead, where I grew up, and I was going through a lot of old shit there, just old hunting gear, my dad's old hunting gear and everything like that. And my brother says to me, he goes, "I got something that you want." And I'm like, "What's that?" He goes, "Old trail timers." I said, "Pop's got a ton of them." So I said, "Hell yeah, I want them, because I want to put them in the man cave." Like that's where it all started, man. I remember being a kid,
Yeah.
and we'd go out and we would check all the trail timers. We used to do that all the time, man. That was like the cool thing. You go and you go check them.
So those are tripwires
Yeah, the trail
Basically.
that set
timers.
the camera off.
Yep. When
Not a camera.
you run
It
the
just
string
tells you
across,
when-
and when they cross that string, the clock stops and tells you what time the string was broken.
So I'll explain this. So right here, there's
Wow.
a camera on it. Okay.
So if you're not watching on YouTube, it's going to be hard to understand kind of what we're explaining, but
I'll describe it because I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. So he's got a box that's about the size of like a
an old
Hornady-
cassette tape.
Yeah, cassette tape size, and then it's got a bobbin, which is it's just a small thing with thread in it.
A string
And,
spool. We'll
like
say.
this is it's some James Bond shit.
It's got
It would tell you when an animal walked through and broke the string.
So what happened is you would take this. There's a zip tie that goes in the side here. See the zip tie on the side?
Mm.
It's an actual zip tie, and it goes inside of there. And what happens is you would push it down in there like that. You would have this side like this. This string bobbin, this actually comes out. And what you do is you use a string and you tie it. You have this thing tied to a tree on one side. That's what this is for. So it'd be tied in a tree, and you would have it on a deer run. And what you would do is you would take that bobbin and you would run the string across to the next tree on the other side of the run. And you'd have it about knee height is key. Because what happens is if it was too low, then like a raccoon or whatever would go through. And then you would tie the string onto here. And when the deer would walk through, it would pull the string. Like this. It would turn off the
freezes
clock.
time.
It's like
'Cause
the
it's not making
standard.
connections.
It's the standard lone wolf McQuaid grenade booby trap where
Yeah.
the timer is the grenade on the tree, and then as the bad guy walks through and pulls the pin, boom.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's
So we used to
and
use
not
that.
only weird, but like that's next to worthless. Like hey, what time something
You know
walked
what?
through here?
A
Maybe
something walked through.
And
Yeah.
that's where it all started, bro. And this wasn't even that long ago.
Yeah. Well,
This wasn't
think
even
about it. That
long
was
ago.
that had to be early
25
90s.
years ago.
Early 90s.
Yeah. 25, 26 years ago.
Wow.
Yep. And you would have to, and you literally 12 to 18 inches off the ground, you'd have to run it just so you would know what went through there. So like the foxes and stuff wouldn't trip it. It was crazy. And that's what we all started with. And then, this is where it originally started right here. This was the original of the all originals.
Wait, so you were out there checking those, Trev, when you were what, 11?
No, I was younger than that.
I was gonna say, dude, that shit's almost as old as you are.
5, 6 years old.
Holy crap!
Yeah, I remember running them when I was a kid. We used to
That's
run the
nuts.
woods, and we would have tons of them everywhere. And we would just have them on deer runs, and you go out and you check, and then you would go and you'd sit and hope that it was a deer, and you knew that those deer. You would obviously have it, you'd have it, and in 2 days, 3 days, or whatever, you'd go and you check, and if you had it at the same time, then you sit that stand, and you would know the deer running through there.
So
at
it's
that
like
time.
the equivalent of checking your camera every 2 or 3 days to get one picture of whatever it was. It only got one picture.
But the picture wasn't there, just the time at the bottom of the picture.
Yeah, the timestamp. The picture was grayed out or blacked out.
Oh, that sounds like a good way to get attacked by a Bigfoot.
Hey, dude, I'm down. As long as you got a camera when it happens.
This is way the hell off base.
Squirrel.
I never would have ever said Bigfoot could ever have existed, right? Because I've lived in Illinois, Wisconsin, Texas, and Nebraska. I'm like, hey, could Bigfoot exist? No. And then I went to West Virginia. It's like Mythbusters. It's plausible. Like,
There's some weird shit happens up there in
Sorry.
these mountains, man.
I'm
not lying.
sorry.
Don't be. Trust me.
I derailed this again.
I spend
okay.
my entire day up in these mountains. I don't disagree with that thought process at all, because some weird shit happens up here.
So
About the rut again.
Yeah, I want to go back to the rut. I was gonna definitely go there. So I want to know, like, what do you do during the rut? Like, what is your
Okay. What's my mantra? If I were to tell somebody how to kill a deer, right?
Mhm.
So in target rich environments like Illinois, Iowa, Kansas, places where big deer are, we used to say, and my dad would say to me, if you go back there and sit in the hole, we used to call it the hole. It was just a big low spot in heavy timber. If you sit at the hole and you sit there from shotgun season, because we had shotgun season in Illinois, right? It's 3 days, and then 2 weeks later it's 4 days. So if you sit there the entire shotgun season, you'll kill a big deer. And that is so not true. Like it can be true, but just going to that stand and sitting there every single day, that's not true. You can't say that you're going to kill a deer if you do that. So what I do is kind of related to that, which is I think that hard hunting in good locations kills big deer. And I know that, whoa, wow, what a revelation. Working hard will help you kill big deer. But it really is that simple to me. If you, and I've heard so many people on so many podcasts lately say, we hunt October. Oh, I hate November. I love November.
Is there a reason why they like October? Is it because that those deer are still in the food to bed and they're very easy
That's
to?
it.
That's
They're
what they
patternable.
say. Well, they say because they've been gaining this intelligence, right? So they say that's why they like them. And I great. I understand. I get it. They're not wrong. When I would hate the rut too if I had a particular deer pinned down.
And now he's
But
moving.
I don't. Yeah, and then he leaves. I don't pin deer down necessarily like that. And I wish I would. If you said, "Hey Clay, you give me $100 right now, I'll tell you where I got one pinned down." Like, I know his routine. Well, I'd give you $100 because it's, in the end, it's about killing a big deer. But I hunt hard, right? That's my point. Is it's sort of what my dad used to say, but then you have to mix in the obvious factors of wind. And I mean, scent control is cool, right? I'm not anti scent control. I'm pro scent control, but I also don't think you have to have that kind of high speed shit to be able to kill a big deer. You hunt the wind, right? And then you also do those things as much as you can to up your chances. But I believe that if the wind blows past my neck and that exact little ball of wind goes down and hits a deer in the face, hits a 4-year-old deer in the face, he is going to smell me. I don't care if it went through 70 layers of ozonics, right? If that little pocket of air that just came off my neck goes to him, he's going to smell me, and I believe it in my heart. So that's why you hunt the wind. And the rut, from a fun and enjoyment standpoint, allows me to go in and really have the experience. I think if you were able to just plan how your dream hunt went, it wouldn't be that you walked in and the first 2 minutes you shot your dream animal. If you were to plan your dream hunt, you want to see some things. You want to go hunting. You want to have a good experience. And there's no experience like sitting through an Illinois rut, right? That November 7th day when you literally see 15 different bucks and 4 of them are, might not kill them, but 4 or 5 of them are above 130, and you just go, what happened? What is going on? This is whitetail hunting. Like, this is fun. This is the stuff that TVs shows and dreams are made of. So I hunt extremely hard from whatever the weekend is prior to November 1, right? So I start hunting pretty tough, and in the October 25th area, I'll start really putting some evenings in and having some fun sits, and I won't go crazy, but I will spend time in areas that I believe could produce good animals. And I use pinch points mostly because you're looking for traveling animals in the rut. Pinch points and heavy cover with bedding areas are where I focus. I'm not a big food source kind of guy in November, and it's just me. I don't know if I'm right. I don't know if I'm wrong. I'm more go where the does are at, and I also don't shoot does. I don't look down on people that shoot does. I am not a guy who believes that you should be executing the girls in your area that the boys are going to want to come see, right? So that's one thing that really weighs heavy on me is I think about deer like they're people, and I relate them a lot. I relate the rut to a college bar. So if you have quarter drafts at the college bar, it's going to be full of people, and if you can somehow find a way to get the girls there, the boys are going to follow. And so if I'm shooting the does off my property, I feel like I'm turning the girls away at the door. My bouncer's telling them they can't come in. So I just personally, that's not my thing. I know lots of other people that will tattoo one first week of November and drag her to the gator and get it done. That's not me. I very rarely will shoot a doe. And I don't know if that's right or wrong, but you asked, so this is what I do. I hunt hard. I hunt the wind. I don't overhunt stands because I've been in situations where I have overhunted a timber, and I used my dad's old advice of just gut it out, right? And that's why I say that grinding sucks, right? Oh, it's the grind. We got to grind it out. I don't know if grinding is worth it. Like the true grind where it's your 15th day and you've progressively in all of your different spots seen less and less and less and less and less deer because of you hunting it so hard.
Right.
Right. So I don't believe that. I don't believe, for me personally, that an actual grind, I grind every year, but every year, if I have to grind really, really hard, I ask myself if there's something else I should be doing right now. And I always answer no, because I love deer hunting. It was in my wedding vows. And I'm not exaggerating, that I get to hunt deer in November, period. And she's always welcome to come with me, but like, she knew what she was buying that day. Right. There was no fine print. Like, it was right out in the open there. November is time. That's when we hunt deer. That's what we do. So
what I'm getting is what your philosophy here, and I 100% agree with you. It's, you hunt it hard, but you have to do it smart. And ultimately, that's what it comes down to, especially where we are. Because you go in and you blow something out 2 days, you're not going to see a deer for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's one big, I'm going to say a big difference between the East Coast and the Midwest is here, you get one chance. You're not going to go in there and screw something up and expect to see anything for a while. You may get away with the Midwest. I'm not going to say we're experts on it because we don't hunt the Midwest. Ohio will be the closest we've done ever. And we're going to take your advice, because that's actually our plan going in. Is we're going to go in, we're going to scout it, and we're going to hunt it hard but smart. If the wind's not right, we're not going in. If the situation's not right, the sign's not right, why waste our time here because it looks good but there's no sign, or the wind's wrong, when we can go over here?
See, one thing I've kind of learned is, like, with the wind thing, the wind situation, like, if the sign is there and it's fresh, not that you want a bad wind, but you'll take a moderate wind. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not 100% perfect, but still go in there because you know that deer's there. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it works, but sometimes you'll blow them out if you see a fresh sign.
I can get on board with that. I would have to say it a different way because everybody's situation is different. In rut, a man that has killed lots and lots of big deer, that is a friend of mine, told me that it's the rut. It doesn't matter. Do you know what direction they're going to come from? Right. And that's what he says, is that in the rut, it doesn't matter your wind. Now, here I just got done talking about my wind was, I hunt the wind. Well, yeah, you go in with the intention of hunting the wind correctly.
Right.
But in the rut, they can literally come from any direction that we're talking about. They will chase a doe in a circle. I mean, right? She's not running on trails. She's just running. It's crazy. That same guy, he tells stories. He saw like a 4.5-year-old big 8, and he doesn't shoot animals like that. He shoots bigger ones than that, which is scary to me, because if I had a big 4.5-year-old 150-inch 8-point, he's going to die, and I'm going to be so happy you've never even. Now he would let a deer like that pass, but he saw, like, the rut is just insane. He saw a 4.5-year-old big old 8-point or whatever it was hold a button buck down and rape it. Like, he watched that happen, and it's that type of wild insanity with the big deer running all around is to me, that's hunting. I'm not talking about sitting back and watching button does get raped. I'm talking about the wildness and the unpredictability of, you never know what's going to come through here right now. It's not, hey, the buck I named Charger comes out into this field every single night at 8:30 the last 3 nights, or every single morning at 8:30. I'm going to be here at 8:30 and I'm going to kill him when he comes out. Well, that's cool. That's awesome. That's a different kind of hunting. For me, I enjoy the, holy crap, I could have a 185 just saunter by me and not ever know he was even there.
Mm-hmm.
And that, for me, that's those bonus bucks are excitement. That deer that I killed last year in Illinois, he was a bonus buck. That's not the deer that I was hunting. There was multiple deer I was hunting, and he wasn't one of them. And I'm telling you what, he was there to whoop every one of their butts when he walked in the door. He didn't score more than them. He was like 156 or something like that, 157. Slick
such a
10.
scrub.
Well, I mean, we're talking about giants, right?
I know.
We're talking about giants. That's him. That's him right there.
He's gorgeous.
Yeah, he was awesome. But I didn't know who that deer was. I saw him the year before at a glance. I didn't realize that it was him until I, was standing over him. But it's that part of the excitement that gets me, and my strategies are based around where are the does and mid-morning bedding areas. I know this is just regurgitation, but there's a reason that people are saying it and have been saying it for years. Mid-morning bedding areas, late morning bedding areas are places that bucks will troll through. And
are you hunting all day?
No. Am I waking up in the morning and sitting a stand all day? Absolutely not. I've done that and found way more times than not that it was a 100% complete waste of my time.
Are you getting up early in hunting?
I will hunt. There was a year when I got cocky. So 2013, I decided to not hunt mornings because I wasn't killing deer in the mornings. So I decided to not hunt mornings, and I didn't. And on about the 15th day of the grind, when I was starting to realize that I wasn't going to kill a deer, I started hunting mornings. And
When
by
you
that
ask that
time,
question, what could I do different?
that's right. That's right. And by that time, I'd already completely roasted, where I was hunting. And all I was doing was just staring at hillsides. And I think that situations like that really make you understand, right? It's the whole failure portion, if you fail, you learn from it, and you really, really do. Because if I start not seeing animals, I will leave. Like, I'm not talking about leave that hunt. I'm talking about I'm not hunting that farm anymore. I'm going somewhere completely different because that stand is toast. If you go in and you see 8 does your first night, and then you see 5, and then you see 2, and the only thing now is that same year-and-a-half-old basket buck that keeps walking back and forth past your stand every night, and that's all you're seeing. You have to leave. Like, you need to make a command decision and go somewhere else. And that's hard for grinders, right? Because we're in Illinois. Anything could happen. If you walk in and torch an entire 60-acre block of timber with your stink for 5 days, you got problems.
Right.
So kamikaze moves are cool when they work, but if you kamikaze something, you better be prepared to have to go somewhere else, because that's the definition of the kamikaze. You just destroyed everything you got going on. You rolled the dice, and if it doesn't work, you might be in trouble. So,
And you're running
here I am.
on permanent stands? Or you doing mobile? What you?
So I am not. I'm leaning in the direction of buying a mobile setup. Right. I use climbers. A matter of fact, I've been using older lone wolf climbers for a long time, and I killed that buck out of a lone wolf. I killed that buck out of a lone wolf, and then these 2 deer were permanent stands, hangers in advance. But I don't hunt public land. So the idea of me putting a stand up and taking a stand down, like, that just, you know what I mean? I don't, that does not do anything for me. Like, I'm fat. I don't.
I get it, man.
Right.
I understand it.
But when you talk about like a hang and bang type situation, that is a real thing. When you're seeing deer and they're in a certain location, and you go set up and do a hang and hunt, that is, I can't discount that in any way. I've done that, but I do it with permanence, with a plan to take it down. Never. Because why would I take it down? That's a place where my deer are, right? I found out that that's the spot they want to be, because there's always one tree on a farm, right? That one tree, once you finally narrow down that one place, that is the spot.
Right. That's
And
the kill hole.
It's the meat factory.
Yep. And I stumbled into mine in Nebraska last year by total accident, and it's just a really good spot. I don't even want to talk about it and jinx myself. Like, it's just.
I feel you. That's why I let Trev stumble into my most recent one.
Oh man, it is a pinch point for sure. Help me out here, Trev. I derailed myself again.
Oh, you're good. No, we were just talking mobile hunting and moving.
Oh yeah.
If it's more permanent
mobile.
or. Because, like, I guess the reason I ask this, right? So if you're in on a spot and you have your permanent set and those deer are moving at that tree, right? What do you do to make that happen? So if you see that buck and he's running an area and he does it, you see it 2 times, how do you move in on him? You know, because for me, like, so if I was to go in a spot, being a mobile hunter, I go into a spot and those deer are running at 80 to 100 yards, and I've seen that buck run by twice. I'm sure as fuck getting out of that tree.
Oh, really?
And I'm going over there.
Oh, wow. I would never do that. And I'm not saying I would never advise that anyone doing that. I'm saying personally, I would never do that.
And what's the reason why?
Fear, I guess. I've never even considered fucking doing that. Like, I know people that do that. I've had people tell me stories.
What's to say he's not going to come through a third time?
Yeah.
Or get down and come back the next day.
Are you able to tear down your setup and get back up in a matter of minutes as opposed to hours?
Let's just say you could. Let's say you could.
Right. Then
that would be a cool move. I can tell you why. It just came to me as to why. When I grew up learning how to squirrel hunt, and I will not be humble at all right now. I am an absolute proficient squirrel hunter. I can flat kill squirrels, right? And when I was a little boy, I would go with my dad, and my dad was a phenomenal squirrel hunter. And I know it's like a squirrel hunter. There's art.
Harder than it sounds.
You can't, like, people who walk and shoot squirrels are not the people that I'm talking about. My father would go and he would sit and we would see a squirrel, and I'm 7 years old saying, let's go over there and let's go shoot that squirrel. And he wouldn't allow me to go. Just wait. The squirrel will be right here. Yeah, right now we could go over there. He's 80, 90 yards away. We could go over there and we could kill that squirrel. But let's just wait to kill him later, because we're here and there are nut trees all around us and there will be squirrels here. So I think that mentality of learning how to be patient and wait, whether it's flawed or not. I'm not trying to sell this as the right way.
Yeah.
It's just my answer. That's why I wouldn't go do that. Now, after a sit, meaning after a full hunt, I've gone home. The bedroom buck, if you ever look at like Buck Collector Clay on Instagram, the bedroom buck is a really cool 8-point, and he's not a ginormous 8-point. He's just really nice. And that deer, I watched him tear up this bedding area mid-morning for 2 days. And I was talking to another informal mentor hunter guy, and I said, what do I do? And he said, well, you have to hang and kill that deer. You got to go in there and put up a stand. Oh gosh, I can't do that. Oh, and he convinced me to do it, and I killed him November 7th, 2009. So, but that's what I
was talking about. Like, as far as like,
I can get 100% behind you. So this buck, this chocolate horn Pennsylvania buck, that same scenario, I set a beech nut ridge, and for 2 days, I watched the deer cross 80 yards away from me. So the third morning before sunup, I went in, took the stand down, moved it 20 yards off the trail they were taking, and he wasn't my target buck, but my target buck came in, and I'd forgot my release. So I took a finger shot, clean under the deer, missed him, wanted to choke myself. And then this thing walked in 30 minutes later, right under me. And I finger shot him, and somehow, out of the grace of God, pulled off a heart shot.
Beautiful.
But regardless,
skill, pure skill.
If I hadn't have moved, there's no way I would have killed either of them. But to your situation there, yes, it was, I moved in the dark before they were around. Not, I saw the deer, it crossed twice on, say 10 o'clock. I got down, was rehung at 11:30, and tried to wait till 2. So yeah, I feel what you're saying there.
I guess I can think of a time when I made a move mid hunt, but it was mule deer hunting. I had it was the first deer that I had ever killed. First mule deer with a bow. It was opening morning. It was 8:30, and he had a bot fly or something, a larva, in his nose. And I learned this later. I didn't know what he was doing now at that point, but he was running 150 yards, 200 yards up the canyon and running back down, shaking his head and snorting the whole time, and not grunting, but like trying to farmer's blow something out of his nose.
Right.
And he did this, and I'm not exaggerating, 15, 20 times.
Yep.
And each time he'd be 400 yards from me, be 120 yards from me, 400 yards from me, whatever those numbers were. But he's really close and he's really far. And I started thinking about, well, I'll do it the next time. Nah. And then he came back. I finally broke and started running that direction. As soon as he ran the other way, I ran with him, in his same direction. I get there and I didn't spook him. He didn't know I was there and he just didn't come back. And so it's never, I killed him about 3 hours later, but it's never worked out for me to do that. So I guess I wouldn't do it. If I wanted to make a move though, climbers are certainly in my arsenal. I'm starting to believe that a set of ultralight sticks and a really light stand or a really easy to hang stand. How about that? I don't care how much it weighs. I'm not backpacking this shit around. That's not me. But a stand that's easy to hang. So I posted a picture the other day of an old Chippewa. You ever seen those?
Oh yeah.
So it's got this wedge thing where all you have to do to hang the stand is put a cable around it, and then you hook it on, and then it just hooks on. The stand hooks on, and it's done. The hardest part for me about hanging a stand is not having a limb to stand on while I'm doing it, because I'm not wearing a lineman's harness. I'm not doing that. I guess I don't want to call myself old school because that has the word old in it, but I can't. I don't. I almost die every time I put up a deer stand. You know what I mean? I can't see how these guys are like, well, let's take this down, and they're drilling holes in their stands and shit. If I was going to lighten up my stuff, I would go to the gym, right, and start losing some weight. That's how I would lighten up. I could probably shed 30 pounds real quick,
Oh, I love it. Great. Yeah.
Don't tell anybody.
Let's talk about. I couldn't see him. I don't know what he did.
I cracked a beer.
Camouflage. Yes.
Oh, dude, you got a wit. Trev's teasing me with a wit beer.
Dude, I haven't drank a beer in over a year and a half, but I figured the night is the tonight.
Hey, you chose a good one. You went with a wit.
So camouflage. I think that camouflage is worthless. I just said it and
that was such a Kevin James
Yeah.
I love it.
And Daddy, no. I do not believe in camouflage for white-tailed deer. And let me tell you why. Because my entire life growing up, we would wear our camouflage to the tree, and then we would hunt, and we were putting black face paint on before Duck Commander. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right before Duck. I now I can't wear face paint because I refuse to be somebody that puts black shoe polish on my face. Right? I can't do it because I'm afraid people will make fun of me.
That's the new thing is like the spider web. They do like the spider. You ever seen that?
Well, it's thin, the thin lines.
Yes.
Right? The hash marks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the thin lines. Oh, God.
Like it's a fucking tree branch.
I don't know. It's cool. Do whatever you want, right? You do you. I'm not doing that, right? If I was going to do it again, I would put light colors on my eyes and dark colors on the other parts of my face that stuck out.
You mean the military standard of face paint of darkening the highlighted sections and
That's
lightening
exactly
the
right.
lower places?
That's exactly correct.
You mean
right?
the military had it figured out?
Yeah, somebody figured out a long time ago. Anyway, I wouldn't do it at all. I believe in a face mask. There's nothing wrong with that, right? A 5-year-old doe is going to look at you and go, that is a person. Like that, that happens. But all my life, we grew up, we'd wear our camo all fall long, and then shotgun season would hit, and you'd put on your Carhartts, and you would go out into the timber with your Carhartts and an orange vest. And the
Right.
same animals walk past you for the same reason. So the camo companies have made millions, and I'm happy for them. I just don't think it's necessary for white-tailed deer.
I'm with it. I'm 100% in agreement with you, and I think it's more or less to hide from other hunters than it is to hide from the deer.
Okay.
But
I don't have to deal with that. People in PA and shit, I feel so bad for them. Like,
oh, it's rough.
But my thing with camo is this. All right. So camouflage is way too light or way too, you know what I'm saying? Like, it needs to have more dark in it. Nick Albanese said it the best. Like, he started wearing like black highlighted camo because it's more or less of the shadows of the tree, or like broadside has more white in it. Because
I would have
too
said
dark.
white and not black. I'm there with that. There was a something called Skyline years ago. Remember that? Skyline
No,
from
actually,
Realtree
no.
or something?
No,
Dude,
no.
it had like
I know what you're
white.
talking about. Yeah.
It had like white stripes across it. If you gave me, and I don't mean military tiger stripe, I'm talking about Siegfried and Roy tiger stripe,
Right.
white and black, zebra shit. I think that is just as good as having a leaf spray painted on this, on your
Right.
chest. It doesn't matter how realistic that acorn on my bicep looks.
That's a great point.
I'm with it.
And that's why this year, like, we made a big transition this year, and we started using broadside and started working with Scott over there. And the video and results of what we've been able to do with it is insane, because yes, it has some green and some black in it, but it's primarily a white background. And when you look up in a tree, what do you see? You see the sky behind the tree.
And everyone kind of got on the whole broadside thing about it being white and then in low light. But the white goes with the
They
low
can't
light.
fucking see. The
No.
deer can't fucking see that.
Guess
They,
what?
they can't see.
If there's no light, then there's nothing to light up the white.
You ever get your picture taken by your trail camera on your way out
And you're
wearing
solid
full
color
camo,
gray.
and you're a solid gray?
Yes. That's what they see.
I don't know if that's completely what they see. I think they see shades, right? I think it's proven that in the daylight they see shades. But I mean, it could be blue.
You're 100% right.
Yeah.
And
I know that camo people aren't going to like me for that. And that's cool, because I still buy camo. I still wear camo most of the time. But I would wear this. If this is what I had, I would wear this in a bow stand.
Oh, yeah.
And if I was comfortable, I don't care. They
That's
can't.
what my wife killed hers in.
Yeah. I got caught last year on a climber. I got caught halfway up a tree wearing a black sweatshirt by a doe at about 90 yards. And she just looked at me. And because I saw her just a split second before she saw me and I didn't move, wearing a black sweatshirt. I'm like, well, this is great. No, she just put her head back down and eventually walked under my stand.
Yep.
Crazy.
And that's the thing, is there are so many things going. One thing that I did it for a year just to see, and even played with it on the trail cams walking by him at night, was the UV dampener sprays. And I will 100% say that when I would walk past it without it, you got that bland gray look. You can't even see the pattern. It doesn't exist. And when you hit it with the UV dampener, you came across darker. You were still that same solid color.
Oh, no joke.
But you legitimately were darker. It didn't reflect that infrared quite as well. So that was something that, kind of sparked a thought, but then it kind of went away. So I don't know if they gave up on the science of it or what, but it was cool. It seemed to have some kind of effect, but I don't think it was enough to catch on to get people to just do it.
That's why that's the only reason I use scent-free laundry detergent is because of UV stuff. Yeah. Not for the scent part of it, for the UV part of it that they put in and the UV dampeners.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know where I'm at on that. I don't know where I'm at. I don't really have an opinion one way or another. Mm-hmm. I will say that I could liken it to the scent control of can't hurt.
No, it can't hurt.
Right? Can't hurt.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I'm with you. Anything I can do, whether it increases my chances by 1% or 10%, if I do 10 things that is 1% and that increases my chances by 10%, that's 10% better chance.
That's absolutely correct. It's like not shooting a lighted knock.
Yeah.
If you have a specific reason not to shoot a lighted knock, again, good on you. I've shot loom knock for years, and people can trash one knock versus another knock. I don't care. Every knock has its problems, right? I like loom knocks. They work for me. The people there are fantastic. They are a great American-made company. I've been to the factory. They're fantastic, right? So I shoot a loom knock. If you aren't using a lighted knock, I can't understand why. I don't understand why you wouldn't, unless there was a law that didn't allow you to in some certain state or whatever, because or you couldn't afford it, right? They're expensive. But I spend my whole year waiting for that one moment. If there is one thing that can give me an advantage, I want to do it. Whether it's a cell camera, whether it's a lighted knock, I want it. Optics, Vortex optics. I absolutely stand behind Vortex 100%. And I love the little fairy arguments about, oh, well, I don't need a guarantee. They wouldn't market a guarantee unless it was trash. I just laugh.
When you have a problem with a Vortex all day long. Yes. I have watched, we've had $2,000 spotting scopes and $1,000, $1,500 turreted scopes get blown up in IEDs while we were overseas. And when it was done, we would recover them and send it back, and they'd send us a replacement, and we were Charlie Mike.
Yep.
You're not getting that from anyone else.
Damien tripped and fell on his Leicas this year while he was out hunting and snapped them in half. I'm not shit talking Leicas because they snapped in half. I'm going to shit talk Leica because when he called them, they were like, yeah, send them to us. We'll take a look at them. And then after they got them, they promptly put them back in the mail and sent them to him. Great. If you'd have done that with Vortex, and he had an elk hunt to get on in New Mexico, right? He came back. If you'd have done that to Vortex and you'd have called and Ryan Muckenhern would have answered the phone, he'd have said, what's going on? And you'd have said, I just fell on my Vortex Razor 12 by 50s and they broke in half. And I can get by with the rest of my 2-day hunt. But 2 days after that, I'm going to New Mexico to this special unit, and I have to have some binoculars. He would not have flinched, and he would have put them in the mail and sent them to you before yours hit the mail going to him.
Right.
You'd have received them before he received them.
Agreed.
And I'm sure that they have been burnt, and I don't care. I care that they've been burnt. I guess that wasn't right. No matter what, I will stand behind them for that. And I don't want to get off on a kissing ass on
know
Vortex
what you mean.
thing.
I'm with you strictly for the fact that you're 100% correct. I have known of people that have cheated that system and did something stupid, may have blown the glass out of, or the gas out and lost focus or whatever because of something legitimately stupid. And they went, oh, I want a new pair. But I've also seen things happen to these that are out of anyone's control, and they replace them the exact same way. There's no questions asked. There's no nothing. It's
They
our
just
product
replace it.
failed. Have a new one.
Yeah, you could almost. Yeah, they're great. I don't. There's so many. There's so many things.
Yep.
And out west, much more than back home. I never used to carry binoculars at all. And now I just carry a cool little 6-power set. I really like them. But I think that binos, when I moved out somewhat out west, I realized how important they were because I'd never looked through a good piece of glass.
Right.
And I don't care what kind of optics you use, because we mentioned Leicas, their glass is fantastic. Everyone's high-end glass is good. Bushnell's got fantastic high-end glass. Leupold's got good high-end glass. Swarovski is, in my mind, just that little bit better than everybody else, but you're going to pay 3 times what I don't have $3,700 to spend on a pair of fucking binoculars.
There's a reason we quit shooting gold rings and started shooting Vortex overseas. Just saying.
I don't know. It's a great company. That's all. That's all I got to say. Hey, changing the subject. Did you see my old pumpkins? I found that old picture. Did you see that?
I saw that shit yesterday. It had me rolling.
Dude, that was so fun. We got to it's pumpkin carving time, and we've got to do that again. I don't know.
You got my mind spinning. I'll send you the pictures of the ones I did the same year. And yeah, I think we ought to sit down and everyone needs to post what they carve.
Yeah, and I probably shouldn't have brought up something.
That's what I'm calling.
Oh, very nice. I shouldn't have brought up something that I couldn't show somebody or talk about.
Oh no, it's all right.
But you could look at them on my Instagram, I guess. If you want to see them, or it's Buck Collector Clay. It's just simple. I'm not on there a lot. I don't have hardly any followers or anything like that, but I don't know. I post things every once in a while. So yeah, Buck Collector Clay. You can get on there and look at whatever the hell we're talking about since I brought it up.
There it is.
But
it's up.
What's that?
I've got it. I'm showing you.
Oh, I can't see you. I'm just looking at Trev's beautiful face.
Oh, well, yeah.
Hey, there you are.
Yep.
Yeah. Dude, I had so much fun carving those. I didn't even know that they would work. That was way back. I don't even know. I don't remember what year that was. That was a long time ago.
That's what we should do. We should have a fucking pumpkin carving contest.
Ooh.
Done.
Ooh. Trev, you know what I'm feeling?
We're going to put up some rules for that. I'm going to come up with something. I'm going to give something away. I'm going to give up a package. You know what I'm going to do?
Give away something I like because I'm going to win. Just letting you know.
Maybe some nor'easter?
No. Actually, you know what? I will. I'll throw nor'easter in there. I'll throw in, I got a custom crow call. I got a Ozone Go, 2 cans of nose jammer. What else I got? I got all kinds of shit. I'm telling you,
I'm included in this shit, and people are going to have to bring the thunder because I'm going to make a straight up masterpiece.
Let's make the rules here right now. So
here is the one that I did.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, so I might get second.
Steven can't be in it, but so what we'll do is you have to tag the Outdoor Drive podcast.
How about that? You like that?
It's Zoom. There it is. Very awesome.
So we'll have to tag the Outdoor Drive podcast and
they can tag me so I get to see them all.
Yep. Tag Buck Collector Clay. What else? And hashtag it with
Drive
Rut Pumpkin.
Yes, Rut Pumpkin.
Rut Pumpkin. There it is.
I love it.
So we get all right. That's what you have to do. You have to
Write
tag
that
the
down,
Outdoor
Trev.
Drive podcast. You have to tag Buck Collector Clay, and you have to hashtag it Rut Pumpkin.
I love it. I love it.
That's fantastic.
I'm just writing it down here. So
See,
I
that
think
would have never happened had Clay not found that photo and posted it.
that's right.
So we've been talking forever. I love this. I could talk hunting every second that I'm awake. Like I'm sure that you're the same way.
Yep.
I right now all on a loop in my head. It's going boom 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 boom, and all of a sudden the rut is going to kick, and I'm going to see the first buck just ripping after a doe in the woods, and I'll hear ooh like crazy.
A little bit of disturbed.
Oh God, I just hear it, right? It's like that scene in Young Guns where he's like, when John Kenny's riding up on our ass and the balls are flying, the blood goes right to your head. Boom! Like I feel like right now, I'm like, woo! That's a test of all tests. Yeah, it's me. Like I haven't had, like I've been having a few little nightmares. Do you guys have nightmares?
Oh,
For
yeah.
like deer hunting nightmares?
Oh, yes. Can't
Oh,
the trigger to let go, and the arrow release, or
that's right. I didn't load, and I have my arrows, but I just can't seem to get it loaded. Like I can't put one in. Like I don't know what's going on. Oh, vomit.
Yep.
Like I wake up, like my ticker cannot take that shit.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming quick.
I
too.
cannot wait, man. We're going to be in Ohio for the start of it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I will be. So the 25th is when I start hunting. Like, and I know it is what it is. If I don't have a deer on camera telling me what's going on, and I'm not running a ton of cameras, I don't step foot in the woods in October to hunt. I hunted one time on the way through Illinois just because on the way to West Virginia to hunt there. And then on the way to West Virginia, my buddy had a really cool deer that he wasn't interested in Ohio. And I'm like, I'll hunt Ohio.
Why not?
And yeah, I mean, you've got 135, 140 inch 8-point, and you're not interested in him, but you don't mind if somebody shoots him. I'll shoot him. So I was on the way there, and halfway to West Virginia, he sends me a picture. The deer broke off half his rack at the base. Like,
damn.
I have had the worst start to a season that I've had in a long time, which is I'm going to use it as a positive thing, because I think that I'm praying that it's going to only go up from here, right? Because
it's your catapult to the rut.
That's right. So the 25th, I'll start hunting around here, and then just before Halloween, I'll head to Illinois, and it'll be on from there. I need to look up, because I'm planning to shoot 2 bucks in Illinois. I need to look up to make sure that I can shoot 2 bucks. I can buy 2 tags in Illinois, because I need to make my plans. You know what I mean? Obviously, I'm not going to just shoot 2 bucks without having a tag, but I'm not
I know what you're going to say, Trev. I see it in your face.
What is he going to say, Chris Brackett? You're not going to say that, are you? You know that dude grew up about, I don't know, 30 minutes from me.
That's crazy.
Like, yeah, that's where I grew up. He used to like rig people's bows up in the place where I bought my first bow, except it wasn't there. It was the old South Side Worm Ranch is where I used to work. Let's not talk about that anymore.
I'm with you.
Well, it's funny is I made a reference in the intro about it was because when we're in Ohio, I was thinking about going down a couple of days early, and Steven was like, well, hopefully you have a buck down, and then you can just hunt for your doe. And I said, I'm not going to hunt for a doe in the middle of rut in Ohio when a 160 comes by, because you all read about me in the newspaper, and you all can call me Chris Brackett.
Yeah.
Just one of those things.
He was kind of jerky to me, or I don't know. Yeah. He's anyway. So
He was to me too. Real quick, and I will go there because I don't care.
but can we just not? Can we just
All
not?
right,
Is he
all
is he
right.
even worth talking about?
No, he's
No.
really not. No,
Right.
no. He tried cutting my beard.
Yeah.
But anyways, go
He-
on. Sorry,
Um,
I had to sneak it in.
I would have tried cutting your beard. That's what my rut pumpkin's going to be, is
Oh,
me
it's gonna be
reaching over.
Trevor's
and doing
face with scissors.
it. Yeah.
You win.
I don't remember what we were saying.
We were talking about how you're gonna go and shoot 2 bucks in Illinois.
Oh, yeah. If I find out that it's, and I looked it up and I don't see that it's illegal, but Austin is going to call his local warden just to make sure for me, because I want to make plans. I mean, rut only comes once a year and it's only so long. So I want to be able to bounce back and forth to where I need to be in order to maximize that time.
Right.
And I don't stick around Illinois if it's still rut. Right. And I can come back to Nebraska and still hunt. But I was hoping to have 3 deer down by now, maybe 2, but I was easily 2 good deer down by now. And shit ain't a guarantee.
Nope. Never is. You
So
have those seasons.
It's one of those humbling seasons for you, huh? Like just the learning.
yeah,
season.
but then again, rut hasn't started yet.
That's right.
And that's when I hunt. I mean, I hunt mule deer early. Going to West Virginia and sitting on the side of a mountain and staring at a little patch that was about 40 yards wide for 5 days, that wasn't any fun. Like, that wasn't any
Tough.
Yeah,
Welcome to
that's
East
tough.
Coast.
Oh man, that's tough. You guys, I don't know. I will say this:
my
I
daily
sat in a
grind.
summit climber for the first time, and I would sit for 6 hours, 5-6 hours, and never stand up. Like, I wasn't uncomfortable. I didn't need to stretch. That thing was wildly comfortable.
Well, the danger with those is you tend to fall asleep. I'm
too busy Facebooking to fall asleep. I mean, let's get real.
That's the truth.
That's funny. See, I'm different. I get in a tree and like my phone's off and in a pocket, and if I don't hear it vibrate or hear a gunshot and worry about Trev, I don't look at it.
That's good. I text Ross the whole time, and I say nice things to him, like, you'll get one, just keep after it. And then he's like, you'll get one too, just keep after it. And then we keep each other's spirits up.
That's funny. He's talking about Ross Bigger, by the way.
Yeah, we were texting last year, 2 seconds before I shot that deer. I was texting him, and he was like, don't worry, you'll get one. That prick was right.
He has a way of doing that.
Yeah, I think he's due.
Oh, yeah,
He's due.
definitely.
He's due. I would say something about the industry and what it can do to people. How about, I don't know why that got me thinking. I just went off on a tangent, but
Well, you're talking about Ross and real people, so I can see the connection.
Well,
I'll give you that.
And this isn't Ross by any means, or anybody else. It's just I've seen people start doing things that they wouldn't ordinarily do because they feel pressure, right? And when I was in my 20s or whatever, I had dreams, right? It would have been neat to have a cool show or something like that. Everybody wanted to be Lee Lakosky in 2004. Right. You know what I'm saying? So that was always cool. But then you start working for somebody else in your mind, right? You're doing it for a different reason. I didn't say a wrong reason, but you're doing it for a different reason. And it makes you not operate on the same level. So when you got guys who are just killing it every year, and then all of a sudden they get involved in something. I told one of my friends one time, he said, "Oh, it was about saddle hunting." And you guys are saddle hunters, right? And
yeah.
And that's awesome. I think it's a really cool thing. This guy is a killer. This guy is tagging out multiple years straight with big deer. And he says to me, dude, you got to check out this saddle stuff. It'll change the way you hunt. So why would you ever want to change the way you hunt? And I don't think it hit home with him at all. And he'll probably hear this and tease me, but the guy is shooting in some of the best ground in the world and shooting some of the shooting world-class deer. And I believe in evolution, right? I believe in evolving and finding new ways to do things better. But I don't know about changing the way you hunt. I think everybody else maybe should change the way they hunt to do what he does. And I see the industry sometimes having that effect on people. And I'm sure that it could happen to me too. You know, if a bunch of people for some stupid reason latched onto me and were giving me money or convincing me to use their products or something like that, I suppose I might try and do it differently. I don't know.
I think kind of like what you're saying also is kind of like, you know, even us being on the podcast and having a YouTube page and filming our hunts and stuff, because like that pressure, sometimes I feel that pressure come down on me. You know what I'm saying? Where you got to have that content constantly, whether it's, you know, grip and grins or you're trying to kill a big buck for the season, and it kind of gets you where you're not thinking clearly, you know, and it kind of it messes with your season sometimes, because you get so drawn into trying to kill that big buck as fast as you possibly can, and you're more or less making mistakes.
I think that anyone, and there's always an exception, but anyone who says that they don't want the respect of their peers is a liar or some sort of has psychopathy, right? Because I certainly want the respect to my peers. When, you know, there's nothing I would like more than people to say, you know, it would make me feel good for people to say that guy kills big deer. You know, that would be like a teardrop moment, you know, if you accidentally overheard people saying that. You know, that's I think what drives some of what we do. And I love being outdoors. I love hunting. Otherwise, you know, if there was no Facebook, I'd still hunt. You know, I'd still kill big deer. But before Facebook, you took your deer to the tavern, right?
Exactly.
You took your deer in the back of the truck to the tavern, whether it was your dad taking your deer to the tavern with you, and he'd call, everybody would come out of the tavern and they'd look at your big deer in the back of the truck or your little deer or whatever, and they'd slap the young man on the back, or his buddies would come out and drink beers, and there was always the one asshole that says, oh, he ain't big, and, you know, and look what I shot. But that's the thing. So we want the respect of our peers. But when I see top level people who I consider at the top edge of any type of whitetail hunting changing what they're doing, I always cringe a little bit and wonder why aren't other people changing to do what they're doing?
Right.
And that's a weird turn that I just kind of took our conversation to, but I always that thought always comes back across my mind as to why is that guy changing? You know, and then you get products like Ultimate Predator, the stalker decoys, you know, that go on the front of your bow.
Yep.
Those things are insane. Have you ever used one of those?
No.
Oh, I can't even talk. Like I'm speechless. They are. The very first time I ever used one, I had a tom almost try and run me over out in the middle of a wheat stubble field. I can't describe how wild that shit is. And I know guys have been doing that for years, but that happening is a huge. Now that's a game changer, right? it'll change the way you hunt. Well, yeah, those decoys, they change the way that I hunt turkeys. Do I hunt turkeys every time that way? No. There are different tools for different situations. But and it's not just a bow thing either. I mean, if I want to walk towards, I knee crawled 60 yards through an open a cow pasture at like 6 or 8 or 10 toms. I mean, there's just toms out there in early season last year. I just knee crawled right at them, and I'm not like I was not graceful. You know,
Yeah.
I'm slopping back and forth and dropping my bow hand and realizing that I've held my bow to the side, and it's like, oh, and you put it back. They don't care. It's the craziest shit I've ever seen.
Do you
So
do it
those,
with muleys and stuff like that, pronghorn and stuff like that too?
I haven't hunted antelope where I needed to yet.
Okay.
I killed my first antelope this year with a muzzle loader, and it had been 6 years trying to draw this tag. I don't know why it was so coveted. When I go back there, I'll be doing it with a bow again. But I didn't use it because I didn't feel like I needed to because I had a gun. And as it turns out, I didn't need to. And there it is again. I like hunting in general, but there's just such a difference for me from bow hunting and gun hunting. I shot this antelope and it was wonderful. But if I change the story over to a mule deer that I'd shot with a rifle, which I've shot very few, I remember shooting him. He fell directly to the ground. I hit him in the point of the shoulder with a 7mm Remington Magnum at 250. He's done, right?
Yes.
So light switch. He's done. I look back at my wife like, did I shave my legs for this? Right? Is that what we just did?
Oh,
Because it's 8:30 opening morning, and you've killed a big one. I've killed a big one. I mean, it was a great photo op. We got two, it's the whole Lee and Tiffany thing where you're holding up two deer. And we even got a little baby sitting in the middle, our daughter when she was tiny.
Nice.
But I don't get the enjoyment. I don't know what would you call it? I don't get the high that I get from,
it's almost like the difference between harvesting and earning.
Mm-hmm. As I into my shine jar.
I like.
I mean,
I was gonna say,
like
don't scroll pouch that.
I didn't. I've teeny tiny sips. I probably haven't drank an ounce of that while we were talking. I bet I'd taken a bunch of drinks.
I don't blame you.
Gosh, that antelope this year. Have you guys ever killed an antelope? I bet you have, haven't you, Steve?
Yeah, I have.
They smell like them would just knock a buzzard completely off a shit wagon.
Shit sheep.
Oh my God. They are disgusting.
Old stink goat.
Oh, that is an animal. I shot a really nice buck, and I have respect for the animal, and I enjoyed that. Like, I didn't like kneel down and like burn sage over him or any shit like that.
You almost need to.
Right? But I don't say this with disrespect for the animals that I hunt and that I harvest. I could give a damn whether I ever shoot another antelope.
Yeah.
They don't do anything for me at all.
I think the draw to antelope is that open ground stalk to see if you're good enough to do that with a bow. I really think that's the draw. I don't think it's the antelope itself, because I'm the same way. It is not a treasured game. I am not going out of my way to put in for those tags. I can go over the counter anywhere in Arizona and pretty much guarantee that we're going to at least see goats. It's just not the draw to me.
I can tell you this. Had I have had a stalker decoy, had I not had a muzzleloader and I'd had a bow, and in this same scenario where I shot this buck at 200 yards, he had 20 does with him.
Yep.
And if I'd have walked over the hill with a buck decoy on the front of my bow, that that antelope absolutely would have charged me. And I would have shot him in the loin.
Well,
At 23 yards.
Full circle.
23 yards, right?
Yeah. So
And there it is.
Our big push for antelope back home was we didn't have the decoys, but we would pull a horse trailer with a horse haltered in the back. And when we'd spot them, you'd pull over, you'd get the horse out, and you walk next to the horse. And when
Jeremiah Johnson their ass.
Yeah, and you'd walk sideways, and you'd just do Z's up to him. And then when you got close, you would lean under the neck of the horse, and you shot. Because they didn't give a shit about a horse.
Right.
You know, they're going, oh, that's normal. I don't care that it has 6 legs or 8 legs. It's normal.
They don't realize
antelope,
that.
Antelope can't count.
So I swear on my life right now, if you want to kill an antelope, honestly, take a truck, drive into the middle of the field, and have 2 big 8-foot flags on posts in the bed, hanging off the back, waving. Antelope will run to the truck to see what it is.
Well, I think they're just trying to vote for Trump. 2020, baby.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
now,
right.
Antelope are the most curious animals in the plains. They will come in to try to figure out what it is. They won't run from it. They'll go, okay, that's weird. We got to go look. And we tested it back home. We did that. We literally would put flags in the beds of trucks and drive into the middle of a field, and the antelope would run to the truck just to figure out what it was. And every time they'd get in range, and we'd film and we'd laugh and look and be like, these things are dumber than shit. And then once they figured out, yeah, this isn't right, they'd leave. But, you know, you got decoys, you got horses, and you got trucks with flags. So you can almost hunt them however you want. Just get creative.
It's like turkey hunting.
Well,
yeah,
I don't think. Yeah, but turkey hunt's fun. Like, and I'm
really
not
fun.
saying antelope hunting's not fun. But turkey hunting,
I'll
turkey
take
hunting
turkey
and
over
antelope
antelope.
are. Yeah, that's like poor man's
All day.
elk hunting. That is. I remember we started turkey hunting when I was probably 14. There just weren't any, right? And we finally, you know, I think I rode my bike back. We lived on 160 acres, and I rode my bike up over this hill on the backside of the farm, and all of a sudden there were turkeys, right? So then that year we decided to start hunting. And the first time I ever saw a turkey strut in the woods, I still remember, I